the most important tip that I want to give about this first question is just like, don't put such an immense amount of weight on this very first deal that you're doing, because believe me, what you don't want to do is screw up a partnership with your dream brand.
Welcome to the Think Media podcast. My name is Heather Torres, and I'm the host of your show here, where we're helping you grow your influence on YouTube and then turn that influence into a high impact and a high profit online business. And if you're new to the show, I want to welcome you. And if you're returning and part of our Think Media fam, thank you for tuning in week after week. We drop a brand new episode for you every single Tuesday. And over on our YouTube channel, we actually have so many videos that we're uploading there that go along with the podcast. So make sure you're subscribed over on YouTube as well as wherever you're consuming this content on. Now, every single week, we love to dive into a topic that's going to help you grow your YouTube channel. But today, it's going to help you grow your income. And that's because we are talking all about brand sponsorships. Have you ever been someone who wanted to figure out, how do I get those brands to actually send me free things, but not just send you free product, actually pay to make content happen? How do you partner with them? What do you say? Are there things in the contract you should be aware of? And what are some of the mistakes that content creators make when it comes to actually partnering with brands? Over the last several years, we've partnered with a lot of different brands here at Think Media, grossing close to, well, over seven figures, close to almost multiple seven figures. And through those experiences, we've learned a lot. And part of what we learned are ways that we can actually increase our prices. And someone who helped us do that was our friend Justin Moore. He's going to be our special guest here on the show today. And I'm excited to bring him because he has such a wealth of experience working with brands. Justin Moore is actually a sponsorship coach and the founder of Creator Wizard. It's a school and community that teaches you how to find and negotiate your dream brand deals so that you can stop leaving thousands on the table. Along with his wife, April, he's been a full-time creator for over 8 years and has personally made over $4 million working with brands. He's also run an influencer marketing agency for over 7 years that's helped other creators earn an additional $3 million. Justin actually brings a very unique perspective because not only has he been a creator in the trenches doing the sponsorships for years, but he's also run an agency where he has insider knowledge behind how the big brands are choosing which influencers to partner with and why they pass on others. Now, Justin's mission is to enable creators big and small to land 1 million paid brand sponsorships by 2032. So if you want to jump into figuring how to do this, lean into today's featured conversation with our special guest, Justin Moore. Well, Justin, welcome to the Think Media podcast. This isn't your first appearance on Think Media. You're an alumni now, so welcome back to the show.
When I said you need to have me on again, I didn't know it'd be so soon, but here I am.
So we had Justin on one of our Inner Circle trainings, which is one of our monthly coaching programs that we had here at Think Media, and he blew our students away, and we had the most requests to get Justin back on. So I thought no better place than bringing you over here to the Think Media podcast. And I'm so excited because we're going to be diving into how to get your first brand deal. You know, I think this is an elusive thing to a lot of creators of like, I know brands can pay me to do my content. I have no clue who to reach out to. How much do I charge? There's so many questions when you get started. So we're going to break all that down today. But Justin, I want to start at the very beginning because, you know, I talked about who you are and just the massive impact that you're having on Think Media, as well as on so many different content creators' income streams. And so take me back, though, to really the beginning. How did you even get into being someone who really understands this brand partnership world?
Yeah, it's a great question, Heather. So first of all, thank you. I appreciate that and those kind words. You know, from my perspective, like we had no idea what we were doing when we started out. I just want to make that very clear, okay? Right? So it's just like, you know, when my wife April and I started on, you know, she started her first YouTube channel in 2009. So way back in the day before there was a partner program, before you could make, she got rejected from the partner program 3 times. So it's not like we were like out the gates at like 1 million followers, and like we were making all this money. And it's like, no, like we were just like the rest of us, we were floundering. We didn't know what we were doing, you know. early on, like we were not being compensated. Like when brands reached out, it was free products, right? We were like, my wife in particular was so stoked to get this because her first channel was around makeup and beauty and cosmetics and so on. And so getting free makeup, Heather, makeup's expensive, isn't it? Right? It's like really expensive. And so the prospect of getting like hair tools and makeup and cosmetics and stuff, she was just like mind blown, like super excited just about that. And so that was like where we lived for a very long time. It wasn't just like, oh, we got a bunch of, free, but it was like years of free stuff because remember, this is 2009, 2010, 2011, early days of YouTube and social media. Brands really did not get it. Like that was not so like, well, let's go pay content creators. Let's go pay YouTubers to like talk about us. For them, it was like in the early days, we were, had no idea what we were doing. And so we would talk, yeah, free products, send it over. Sure. We'll link it. We'll do all this stuff. Right. And so like the brands, they were seeing all these sales. They were seeing, we could see, Amazon associates like revenue and stuff. Like, so we definitely could see that, but it wasn't like people were compensating us like flat fees to like talk about them quite yet. Right. And so like for them, the beauty brands, I will give them credit versus a lot of other types of industries. They saw the direct correlation early. Like they were just like, we send this person free stuff, they talk about it and we make a bunch of sales. Right. So it's like to them, it was like they got it. And so those early conversations were, it was, yeah, we still had to do education, but eventually they were finally like, okay, yeah, we'll pay you $100. And we were like, yeah, so we were so stoked, right? Like we were so excited because I was like, in the early days, we were young. We were, in our early 20s, like just graduating college essentially. So like a couple $100 was like super meaningful to us. It still is super meaningful, right? That's like your car bill or your groceries or like whatever, like your phone bill. It's like very meaningful even today, right? And so the first thing I'll say is that yes, like, early on when we were creators, I've been doing this a very long time. I just want to say like, it's really important to like, I am a big on not like being so hard on yourself with this type of stuff. Cause like, it's not like you can take a class about this, like now you can take my course.
No, you can't.
Before, you can't, there's no college classes. There's no, like none of it. You watch some YouTube videos or something, but it's like, not like there's like certifications or degrees you can get in this type of thing. And a lot of us, like, probably a lot of us listening to this are starting to make an income, potentially making a career for ourselves in this space, right? And so that's the first thing I want to say is like, if you're a creator listening to this, don't be so hard on yourself. Like we made so many mistakes over the years, you name it. Like, one in particular was like, I remember we gave brands, we turned on the TV one time and we saw my wife's face, a clip from one of her YouTube videos in a TV ad. And we were like, did we let them grant them the rights to do that? Let me go look at the contract. Oh, yep, we sure did, just for free products, So it's like we've made every mistake in the book, and so a lot of the knowledge, and now I'm like educating creators around this whole process was from painful mistakes that we made along the way, and me just being like, I just don't want people to make these mistakes anymore. But then the other aspect is just that I have also run an influencer marketing agency for many years. Also on the other side of it is like I actually have now hired lots and lots of creators to actually do campaigns, and paid creators to be like, hey, go talk about this brand who was like our client. And it's just like a totally different perspective. And so that's where I come to it. It's like, you need to be professional. You need to be communicative. You need to be responsible. This is a business transaction when you are working with brands and advertisers. And so I kind of have these two different perspectives, and that's kind of what I bring to my content.
So good. And actually, one of the reasons why I geek out on your content, Justin, yes, I am part of the Creator Wizard community. Do you have a name for the Creator Wizards? Is that what we are, just Creator Wizards?
Well, I would say I don't have a name. Let me show you my new merch though. Hold on.
Okay. Well, we don't have a name either,
I was thinking if you're on the podcast, you can't see this, but I have these new hats that say monetize. Mm-hmm. How dope is that? So I was thinking the monetizers. I don't know. I totally made it. I don't know.
Well, I am a monetizer then. And one of the reasons, Justin, why I wanted to bring your expertise to the podcast is because not only are you a creator who, if I can be humbled about your numbers, have made multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars from brands, right? And I mean, we're talking multiple, like, let's be real. But you've also helped other creators understand how to do this. And I think that's where your specialty has been so valuable for what we've even experienced here at Think Media. Like you said, no one teaches you these types of things as you're starting to grow your brand, you're starting to grow your YouTube channel, your personal brand is starting to explode. So I want to start with going back to that beginning first deal. We have a lot of content creators who we teach them how to grow their influence on YouTube, how to start monetizing using the YouTube partnership program. But then there's a lot of content creators who are ready to start making those brand partnerships. What does it look like? And let's start from the beginning of like, how do you even find brands that you want to work with?
I started All Nation Restoration to help people. Chase for Business is literally what it says in the name. It is Chase for Business, where I can find everything I need in one place so we can help people get back to life. Use the #1 trusted bag to help your beloved leftovers last longer. For the love of food, Ziploc.
SC Johnson. Get 25% off all spring clothing and accessories, only at Target.
What's so funny? Bro! And there's a goat. You made a goat. You made a goat.
One of these people uses the new Colgate Total Active Prevention System. It's 15 times more effective at fighting the root cause of many oral health problems. As for the other guy,
Sarah, good luck.
be dentist ready with Colgate Total.
Of like, how do you even find brands that you want to work with?
It's a great question. Okay, so the first hair that I would split about your first deal is whether you're the one pitching, right? So you're actually reaching out to a brand and saying, hey, I want to work with you, versus you getting an unsolicited inquiry into your email inbox, right? Maybe you put your email address in your about section on your bio or your, about tab on your YouTube community or your YouTube channel, right? So it's like, that's the very first and most important distinction to make, because in my experience, actually, it's the latter that happens to most creators. It's like they don't actually be like, I'm not big enough, I can't work with brands, so I'm not going to go reach out to them, right? Most people, it's just like, oh my God, I got this email, like, what, this brand wants to work with me? Like, oh, I don't know, what the heck do? I don't know what to say, I don't know how to negotiate, I don't know, blah, 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 right? And so like, let's talk about that one, because I think that that's more frequent, right? Where it's like, I got an email in my inbox, what do I do now? I actually have a video on my channel called "A Brand Emailed Me, Now What?" Right? Because this is the thing that happens oftentimes, right? And so there's a couple things that you need to remember here, which is that number one, you have to respond, okay? You can't ignore it. I can't tell you how many creators I've talked to have just been so intimidated by the whole process that they literally just delete it or ignore it. And that blew my mind when I first heard that. But I can remember back to when I was, we were starting out, that it's intimidating. I totally get that. But the first and most important thing you need to do is just show a sign of life. Respond. Hey, this is super interesting. I'd love to hear more. Just something as simple as that. Just responding in a timely fashion. Ideally within 6 hours, ideally, max within 24 hours, though, would be great if you could respond and just say, tell me more. Okay, that's it, right? And then allow them to tell you more about the opportunity. Is it going to be how many videos? Is it going to be an integrated video? If it's going to be a dedicated video, like just let them talk, right? And that's the first step, is because to some degree it is a fact-finding mission. You're kind of a detective. You need to let them talk a little bit, right? If you're comfortable hopping on a call, that would be even better. If they come to you and be like, well, we'd love to hear your perspective, and you'd be like, okay, let's just get on a Zoom and hash it out, right? But I get it. That might be a little intimidating as well if it's your first deal. And so the biggest perspective mindset shift I would have around this thing is that you are going to make mistakes. It's not like you're going to be flawless for your very first deal. And accepting that, I think, is really important, because then it gives you kind of the freedom and the liberty to be like, okay, this is kind of a test run, right? I just want to see what it's like interacting with the brand. They're going to send me the product. I'm going to make some content. I'm going to, maybe they're going to give me some feedback, some edits on it. I'm going to post it. Yeah, I'm going to make a few mistakes here and there, but I'm going to learn from it. Right. And that's the most important tip that I want to give about this first question is just don't put such an immense amount of weight on this very first deal that you're doing, because believe me, what you don't want to do is screw up a partnership with your dream brand. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's just iron out all those wrinkles the first time with some of these, lower tier brands, so that you can make some of these larger partnerships down the line work really well.
So good. All right. Recapping Think Media podcast listeners, you have to respond. Okay. This is number one. You have to respond. And I love that you hit that, Justin, because we were working with a client and he was like, yeah, I've been emailed like 6 times from these brands. And I'm like, 6 times? You need to respond, okay? So that's number one. Think Media Podcast, respond. And I love how you said that. And I can really tell you from experience of never working with brands and then working with brands. At first, you really don't actually know. And when you get on with them, they can actually explain to you what the campaign is. I want to talk about that a little bit because a lot of times brands have budgets. Well, actually all the time, brands have budgets. And so what they're tasked to do, whoever's reaching out to you, what they're tasked to do is spend this budget money, and they're spending it on influencers, and you've been selected as one of those influencers. Now, I will say, Justin, there are scams out there, so you want to make sure that you are getting, it's legitimate. If it's a business, it's a business. That's what I always tell people. You'll know the difference between a non-business and a real business. But you want to hear their ideas. Talk about that for a minute, Justin, because I know you really have an insight in the idea that this is a cyclical thing for brands to be reaching out to creators. So if you mess up the first time, you could be on the cycle again, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, I think that this is one of the number one mistake that creators make when they're doing their first brand deal is the brand reaches out and says, well, how much do you charge for a YouTube video or something? And the creator says, $500. They just make something up, right? I get it. You don't know in the beginning, right? But instead of saying that, use this magical phrase. You say, tell me what the goal of this campaign is. What is success to you? And they may tell you something that's very surprising. So for example, perhaps they say to you, well, we really just love, your content. It's super high quality. We love, you're right in our niche. And we actually just really want to repost your video on our YouTube channel. Or we want to embed it on our website or something, right? Which is very different than we want you to talk about us on your channel. And we're hoping to drive sales from the link in the description box. That's a very, very different partnership. And if you hadn't have asked that, you probably would have pitched, well, one integration is this much and this type of thing, right? But by simply asking it that very easy question, you can completely change the dynamic of the relationship. Now you can pitch them, well, maybe I can create some content for your YouTube channel. I don't even post it, right? And that's going to be probably a lot more money. And the other thing that's really nice about that is that now your rate is completely detached from how many subscribers you have, right? Or what your viewership is like, right? Because that's not what the point of the campaign is. It's that you're actually creating, you're a freelance content creator for them, right? The other thing to really important thing to remember is put yourself in the brand's shoes. Okay. If they are not hiring you to help them create content or spread the word for their brand, what are their alternatives? Well, they could go out and they could hire an agency, right? They maybe could hire a full-time employee to create the content for them. These are all things that are quite costly, right? So I don't encourage you to say, oh, hire me because I'm so much more cost effective than these other things. But it's just very important to have that mindset of don't shortchange yourself, right? $50 is not an adequate level of compensation for the work that you're putting in, editing the video, shooting it, doing all this pre-production and all this stuff, right? No, you have to value you have to understand the value that you're actually providing to the brand. And so just putting yourself in their shoes can be very helpful on your first brand deal to understand that you are worth actually quite a bit more than you think.
Well, I hope you're getting value out of today's featured conversation. And I wanted to let you know that if you're someone who's trying to figure out how to do YouTube, maybe you've been thinking about starting your channel, but you're just not ready yet. Well, today is your day. I want to invite you to a free class that I have called the How to Get to Your First 1,000 Subscribers on YouTube. Make your first $1,000 without fancy equipment, years of editing experience, or 50 hours a week to spend on your YouTube channel. I have a free class you can go to at thinkmasterclass.com to get signed up today to be a part of this creator revolution. There are over 425,000 full-time content creators happening right now, and you could be the next one. But you've got to figure out how to get to your first 1,000 subscribers to be able to unlock a lot of those monetary benefits. So if you want to figure out how to make some extra cash in this season with your YouTube channel, then this is the class for you. You can sign up at thinkmasterclass.com, and I'll see you over on that free on-demand YouTube class. Well, let's get back into today's featured conversation with our special guest. So good. All right. That was a review piece I wanted you guys to listen to. Tell me what your goal is. That is so good because it does reframe even what the conversation is. And that actually is one of the best negotiation tactics to even know where the starting line is. So Justin, really good on that. When you are helping content creators and you're matching those content creators with brands, what are some negotiation things that content creators should be aware of when they're making that content? I know you said, turn on the TV and there's your wife's face. How do we even know in this world, like what should we be on the lookout for? What are some pieces that you're like, don't do that when you're in those negotiation phases of creating those brand deals?
So I've got I'm a big fan of frameworks, okay, and like acronyms and stuff. So I've loved making up my own. And so I have one that's actually very simple and can help you with your first brand deal, which is what I call the DO rule, which is DUE. Okay, and the D stands for deliverables. If you're trying to understand the dynamics of a campaign and they're reaching out to you, you have to understand, what are they actually asking you for, right? We mentioned at the beginning, like, is this going to be an integrated video or is this going to be a dedicated video? Those are actually two very different things that I would actually recommend you should probably be charging 2 to 3 times the amount of money for a dedicated video that's talking all about this brand or this product, right? Mm-hmm. And so deliverables, you have to, a lot of times brands will reach out and just be like, oh, we just want to do a couple of posts and like collaborate. No, how many posts? Is it going to be 2 or 3 videos? Like, that's a big difference, right? You got to tell me. All right, so that's the DO rule. That's the D in the DO rule. The U is one that a lot of creators don't think about, which is the usage rights, okay? And what this is, that what does the brand actually want to do with your content beyond you posting it, right? Because it's one thing to post it on your YouTube channel, but do they want to embed it on their website? Do they want to repost it on their YouTube channel? Do they want to run like YouTube ads with your content? And if they do, for how long do they want to do it? Is this something that they're going to be running for 5 years, right? Where in essence, your name and likeness, as they call it, is going to be tied to this brand or this product for a long time. So it's something you absolutely need to be asking about and charging accordingly for. And then the E in the DO rule is exclusivity, right? Are they actually going to be asking you to be exclusive to their brand or their product or their service for a certain duration? Because, there's an opportunity cost associated with that. If one of their competitors, approaches you 6 months down the line and you signed a 1-year exclusivity clause, then that's going to be challenging, right? And so that's like a very simple framework to use when it comes to trying to scope a potential partnership, and all of those factors you need to consider.
Okay, so content creators, I hope you were taking notes during that because you're going to sound so educated on your first deal already because you now have the DO framework. That is the deliverables, the usage rights, and the exclusivity. And this is something that here at Think Media, we've learned from you, Justin. We went through your class. We took, the content that you have out there. And because of those things, we were able to double and sometimes triple our asking costs because of those specific things. They want to use our likeness. They want to use those videos in other capacities. And so we were able to negotiate additional fees of those things and increase the budget that we got from a brand just because of knowing that DO rule. So thank you, Justin. I'll give a tip jar maybe one day. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so thrilled to hear it.
I love it. Okay, so you mentioned something that I know is always a sticking points for those first time content creators and brand deals, and that's the contracts, okay? No one teaches us all of this stuff. And I know sometimes that brands are working with multiple content creators and they do have the upper hand of understanding contracts and what's in those. What are some tips you have for content creators in one, either making their own contracts if that's what the brands are asking, or 2, how to really go through those to know what they should be looking for in those deals?
All right, I'm going to give a piece of advice that may be somewhat contrary to what other people might suggest, but I think it's a very, very important thing to understand as a creator, especially if you're thinking about doing your first brand deal, which is that I believe that you should go out and hire a lawyer to create a contract template for you, a boilerplate contract template for you, where the only thing that you change is maybe the last page, which is oftentimes called the appendix. And the only things that you're changing about the deal are the deliverables, right? The usage rights, the exclusivity. You're just like putting those in there based on whatever the brand is saying. And then you have that document, that boilerplate document that's kind of been blessed by a brand or blessed by a lawyer to be able to utilize if you need to. And the reason that I'm saying that that's so important for you to do now, even if you do not have a deal in hand, is because this is an investment in your creator business. If you were starting any other business, if you were starting a brick and mortar shop, there are costs of doing business, right? You have to buy the ingredients, you have to hire personnel, you have to do X, Y, Z. For some reason, a lot of creators be like, oh yeah, I'll buy a new camera, or I'll buy a new editing software, a new laptop, or whatever. That's an investment in my business. But hiring a lawyer to like have a, protect myself, like in the event that I'm gonna go partner with brands, somehow that's like, no, I'm gonna wait until I get a deal that like because I get it, right? Like sometimes, the deal's not a ton of money. Maybe it's $200 or $300 or something. And then if you have to hire a lawyer, well, there goes all your profit. You pay them for a couple hours and it's a net loss. But like, no, this is an investment in your business. So even if you do not have a deal in hand, I think it is a prudent thing to do as a creator to like invest. If you want to actually make an income doing this, being a creator, this is one of those investments, just like all that other equipment that you love buying, to formalize your own business.
I love that reframe because you're so right. We are easily drawn to the shiny object of the new lighting or the new thing, but it's kind of that back-end business stuff that gets left behind. And I can tell you from knowing content creators who have had their likeness taken, who have had content, who have literally done the work for pennies that they could have been really making substantial income. I know, Justin, you've worked with content creators who have, because they've taken the right steps of understanding how to do this right, have made massive income from understanding brand deals properly, right?
100%. And I think that maybe this will be the point of the podcast where there's a little friction flying, Heather. But I actually have a very controversial stance, which is that you can actually make way more money on sponsorships than AdSense over the course of your career as a creator. I'm living proof of that with my wife and I's YouTube channel, right? And so the reason being is that I actually, here's an anecdote. I saw a pretty prominent creator share on Twitter recently that in the lifespan of their YouTube channel, it's like more of a micro creator, but like pretty prominent in their niche. They've made $7,000 on YouTube AdSense over like 2 or 3 years. And they just got one brand deal for $10,000. So if you can make a lot of money finding the right brand partners in one fell swoop, then all of this huge amounts of energy that you're putting out there to try to either get monetized on YouTube, which absolutely is a awesome goal, and you should definitely have it if, as part of your diversified creator business. It's a great income stream. But like, I think a lot of creators are just completely missing the boat and not even thinking about how much money you can actually make from sponsorships. Because again, going back to this whole thing about the value that you're providing brands, like they have the budgets to like get content, to partner with creators and get their name out there. And so I think it's just like a very important, again, a mindset shift around like, you don't just have to be making money from AdSense. There's lots of other ways in which you can do it.
Yeah, and I want to hit on that point too, because I think sometimes creators don't see actually the value that these brands are willing to pay for. And, when you go back to brands are willing to pay micro influencers. That's one of the specialties that you have, Justin, is understanding the micro influencer piece. Let's go down that path just a little bit, because I want people to start to see themselves not as just a YouTube creator, but like, what market are you actually impacting? And then how do you get the brands in that market to actually see you? What are some tactics as a micro influencer that you can do to actually get brands to see you?
So the number one piece of advice I can have to, about getting on brands' radar is to tag them.
Or maybe you should start.
It's your presentations. They're bad. There was the quarterly review, employee training week, Gary's retirement, and even the office pet policy.
Sounds boring.
This template is timeless.
Show him the thing.
Canva.
Canva?
It's easy.
You made that? You made that for me?
He's in.
Canva make me do life. Canva make me do life.
Maybe you just need a Snickers pecan.
Dr. Fresh, my girl's upset with me because I watched the newest episode of our show without her. Now the energy between us is just off.
Look, I know how to get things back on track. With Febreze, romance, and desire. Do you need help setting the mood? Give Dr. Fresh a call.
Dark Spot Revolution. Born from 18 years of research. New Mela B3 serum. 85% showed reduction in the look of persistent dark spots, powered by multi-patented Melasil, the new breakthrough ingredient with 10% niacinamide, proven on all skin tones. Mela B3 serum.
About getting on brands' radar is to tag them. A lot of, like, when you're posting and post about them on social media, a lot of creators be like, well, if I post about them, why are they going to pay me for a campaign? And I'm just like, here's how it works. Let me walk you through it. Okay. When a brand decides that they want to run a paid influencer campaign, there is oftentimes, almost 100% of the time, there is going to be some sort of like promotion that they're running. Maybe it's a discount. Maybe it's the holidays. Maybe it's, 10% off. It's, use your code Justin20 for 20% off your first purchase. Whatever. There's something that there's a reason that they're running the campaign, right? When you're just posting about them organically on social media, are you saying any of those talking points? Are you using the promo code? Are you doing any of that stuff? No, you're not doing any of that stuff because you're just sharing your authentic affinity for the brand or the product. And so this is like a giant, like mindset shift I need you to have around this, which is that this is the best way to get on the radar of the brand is to post about them. And then, oftentimes maybe this has happened to you. Maybe you tag them on Instagram or something like that. And then they, respond in your, stories or whatever. Oh, thank you so much for tagging me. Can we repost this on our, people get mad. They're like, oh, can we repost this on our page? And people will be like, no, they need to pay me. This is the perfect opportunity. You have your foot in the door now. They have shown you that they value you and your content. Now is the perfect chance to pivot this into a paid partnership, and you say, oh, thank you so much. Here's a template for you. Anyone listening, ready for a template? Here's a template. If this ever happens to you, you say, I'm so thrilled and honored that you like my content so much that you'd like to repurpose it. That actually, requires an investment. I would love to hop on a call. I have some other unique ideas that I could share about new content that I could create for you in addition to that. Are you free on Thursday at 1 p.m. to hop on a call? That's what you say. And here's another template. If they repost your content without your permission, you don't say, how dare you take this down? I'm going to contact my lawyers. No, you say, I'm so honored that you loved my content so much that you wanted to repost it. That requires an investment. Can you let me know the budget you've set aside to secure those rights? I'd love to hop on a call at Thursday at 1 p.m. to discuss some other ideas I have, right? So you don't go into it indignant. You go into it viewing this as an opportunity to get paid.
Oh, I'm over here just wanting to jump up and down, Justin, because you're speaking like a business owner. And if there's one quote that I love so much, it's Jay-Z. I'm not a businessman. I'm a business man. And you partnering with brands, it's your likeness, it's your content, it's the effort that you're putting out there. And this is a rising economy. If there's one thing that is happening right now, it's brands understanding that normal TV commercials not working, that normal advertising not working. You know where people are? They're in their apps, they're in social media, they're on YouTube. And last question that I want to talk about is the idea of turning one video into a multiple video type content, meaning when you're negotiating and they're asking for one thing, how do you ask for more? Oh, is it on YouTube only? Or do you also want Instagram? Oh, is it how do you expand to ask for more money?
Okay, so let's talk about the reasons that a brand would pay you to make actually more content, okay? So just like what you said earlier, Heather, which is that brands have these budgets and they have to spend it, right? They got to pay creators. They have this budget allocated for them for this particular quarter or for this particular month, right? So when a brand reaches out to you, they're not just working with you. They're working with probably 5 other creators, 10 other creators, 25, 50, 100 other creators sometimes, these big campaigns, right? And so what does that actually mean put yourself in the brand's shoes. That means that they have 5, 10, 25, 50 other email threads that they have to manage, 50 other personalities, 50 other contracts that they have to deal with. And so when they come and ask you if you can make one video, what you are saying to them when you say, hey, you know what? I know you only asked me for one, but I can actually make 5 videos for you. In their mind, they're thinking like, wow, well, I can just hire Heather now for this, and I don't have to worry about working with 4 other creators, 4 other email threads, 4 other contracts. She's going to make my life easier. Okay, sounds good. I'm going to pay Heather 5 times the amount of money, right? So it's like, it's not just about like, oh, let's add on to this and like, let me give you a discount for like, no, you don't give them a discount. Stop giving them discounts. You're not a discount creator, okay? The reason that they're going to go with you for these other, packages that you're providing to them is because you're making their life easier. Okay. And yes, there may be some situations where, maybe you want to, if it's a longer term deal or whatever, maybe there's some sort of, pricing concession, but that's not what you lead with. You don't be like, I'm going to give you a discount. If that's the one thing that you learn from me and my content and all this stuff is like as a creator, stop negotiating against yourself. Oh, I normally charge 2,000, but I could do it for 1,000. Like before the brand ever says like our budget is 1,000, right? You're so excited for the deal. You negotiate against yourself. You're giving discounts. Just stop doing all that because you're worth it. You have value. Yeah. Stop providing discounts if the brand's not asking for it, please. And so again, when it comes down to extending the deal, the one final caveat that I want to give about this potential thing is that it's a lot easier to convince a brand to do a long-term partnership with you after they've had some experience working with you on one deal. Mm-hmm. So it may be somewhat difficult to convince them to do a 6-month or 12-month deal with you right out the gates. But if you do one deal, you're very responsive, you're very professional, the content is super high quality, you provide a post-campaign report, which is something I teach in my course, right? Mm-hmm. You do all these things where you're like a business, I'm a businessman, right? So it's like you do all those things, then they're gonna be like, okay, let's hire him for a 6-month retainer thing, right? So it's like, I know everyone wants these kind of longer term deals, but it's just the reality. They're not gonna, they've been burned too many times from creators who are not professional, who are not communicative. And so they need to have a little bit of experience working with you to be able to justify doing something like that.
So good. So many nuggets right there. 1, don't lower your price. Okay. Don't lower your price. And then 2, be professional. If there's one thing that I wish more content creators would do in this industry, it's to be a business. It's to put your business hat on and think, how would you want to be treated? How can you support the brand? And I can tell you from being the type of content creators that have gone above and beyond, we send Christmas gifts to our brand representatives. We know their kids' names. We do that because we want to be in partnership with them for a long time. And because of being able to be someone that's professional, that offers those things, we've secured brand deals where they've never paid creators that amount of money because they know that they can trust us to be good representations of their brand in that partnership. So Justin, oh my goodness, so many nuggets. If you want to go deeper with you, Justin, where should they go? How do they get involved? If they want to know the next step with you, what's the best way to do that?
All right. Well, the top thing that I would really, really, really recommend everyone listening to this to do would be to join my newsletter, because I literally every single week, it's a free newsletter. Mm-hmm. I send you paid sponsorship opportunities in the newsletter every single week. Okay, so you're definitely gonna. I also share videos and about pitching tips and all that stuff. So if that's interesting to you, just go to creatorwizard.com/join. And then I have I'm on YouTube, TikTok, pretty much everywhere at Creator Wizard. And this is all I talk about, y'all. I don't talk about anything other than sponsorships and brand deals. So I know you guys love talking about finding your niche on Think Media, and so this is my niche. This is all I talk about. So if that's something that you think sponsorship should play a role in your business, come hang out. Would love to connect.
So good. We also have a link for you down below in the description of the YouTube video, or if you're listening over on the podcast, we'll include it in the show notes. We've partnered with Justin to get you some free content that's behind the scenes. So you've got to go there, click on that link, and that'll help you get your first 14 days of understanding all this content. Justin walks you through a whole class on exactly how to set this up, what to do, how to approach brands, all the things happen. So make sure you click the link if you want to go over there. Justin, thank you so much for your time. It is so incredible to be with a content creator who understands the business side of it. So I just really appreciate you, all that you're doing to really help double the creator economy. I believe that you're one of the people in the forefront doing that. And I so appreciate your knowledge and all that you're bringing to our audience. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
You're so kind. Thanks for having me, Heather. It was a blast.
Wow, wow, wow. I mean, are you ready to get your first brand deal? I hope that there were so many magical nuggets there for you to help you figure out how to land that next deal. Actually, let me know if you're watching over on YouTube. Have you done your first brand deal and what was your experience like? I would love to know that. And if you're listening over on audio right now, you can actually drop a review and let me know the same exact thing. Or with my cheeky plug, go over and subscribe on YouTube or go to this video over on that channel as well. But every single week, I love to bring to you one of our Think Fam community members who has left a review and rated this podcast show over on Apple Podcasts, because that is actually where the podcast can get to more listeners just like you. Today's review comes from Bordathayan, and they said, expand your community with great guidance. Relatively new to the scene in the past 6 months, and these have been great. The passion, guidance, and media is very useful. This week's episode explaining looking around and seeing defeat while in this community, people are crushing it as we make the impossible possible through opportunity was pulled right from my head. Love it. Well, thank you so much for leaving that review, rating our show here on Apple Podcasts. And we would just love if you would subscribe wherever you listen to this audio. And have you shared it with a friend yet? Do you know someone who needs to start to understand how to be growing their influence using YouTube specifically, and then turning that influence into a high impact and a high profit business? I know I'm going to share this episode specifically with a friend I have in mind, so it's coming at you. But thank you so much for being a part of what we're doing here at Think Media. Stay locked into what we have here on the podcast. We have some incredible episodes coming your way with some special guests like Alex Hormozi, Patrick Bet-David, Gary Vaynerchuk, and so many more. So stay locked in here at the Think Media podcast, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye.
At Walden University, we get the W.
From stank to sneezes, your air remembers. Unlike air fresheners, Lysol Air Sanitizer eliminates odors by killing 99.9% of viruses and bacteria in the air. Scent can't sanitize. Lysol can.
Spend time getting clear on the vision. Expand on that. What are some tips when we have multi-passions, we feel like we're everywhere, we're chasing shiny objects, we're comparing ourselves to others? What are your tips for getting clear, number one, on the vision?
So the challenge with social media today is there's so many different people, right? There's so many different influencers, and some have a different style. Who do you relate to? Like, who is you? When you watch everybody, who is you and what is your area of expertise? For us, we sat there and I said, this is how I talk. This is how I tell my stories. This is my style of communication. This is what I know a lot about. And then this is us. We're sticking to here versus, but I also want to talk about this and I also want to talk about this. The more you stay like this at the beginning, the more you can go like this later on. Because so many times content creators want to go wide very early. That's a mistake. Stay here at the beginning. Then as you get bigger and bigger, then you have the opportunity to go this way.
Welcome to the Think Media podcast. My name is Heather Torres. I'm the host of your show here, and we are here to help you grow your influence with video and then take that influence and grow a high impact and a high profit online business. Now, if you're new to this podcast, every single Tuesday, we deliver a brand new episode to you. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you like to consume this content. I am so excited because today we're going behind the scenes of another session from our Grow with Video live conference. We have someone that is a huge online mentor to me. I wish he was an in-person mentor, but he's definitely an online mentor through his amazing work that he does with Valuetainment. This is none other than Patrick Bet-David. If you're new to Patrick Bet-David and the work that he's doing right now to help entrepreneurs, let me just give you a little insight about who you'll be learning from today. Patrick Bet-David is popularly known as the founder and CEO of PHP Agency, a national financial services marketing company with over 15,000 agents across the country. And he is the creator of Valuetainment, one of the largest YouTube channels for entrepreneurs. His influence has amassed over 421 million views on his YouTube channel, where he helps entrepreneurs with weekly how-to tips, motivation, and interviews with unique individuals. Patrick is a best-selling author of the book, Your Next 5 Moves, teaching smart entrepreneurs practical and effective strategies for thinking more clearly and achieving your most audacious professional goals. Now, in this episode, Sean and Pat are sitting down to discuss the author notes of the book, Your Next 5 Moves, and they're going to be sharing with you the content execution strategy for how you could be scaling up your content this year. I'm excited for you to jump into today's featured content, so lean in and let's get into the conversation between Patrick Bet-David and Sean Cannell.
15 moves to transform a weekly segment into a channel focused on entrepreneurship. Now, your channel could be focused on whatever you want. He talked about the 7 categories, and there's so many, but apply this to your channel. So, Pat, let's dive into this, and can I get your author notes on these?
Sure.
All right, so number 1, spend time getting clear on the vision. Expand on that. What are some tips when we have multi-passions, we feel like we're everywhere, we're chasing shiny objects, we're comparing ourselves to others? What are your tips for getting clear, number 1, on the vision?
So the challenge with social media today is there's so many different people, right? There's so many different influencers, and some have a different style. Like, you know, I had a guy the other day ask me a question, and I said, hey, should I drop F-bombs? Because I see some people who do, and it's working out well for them. I said, what do you mean drop F-bombs? Because maybe that's why I'm not getting any subscribership. I said, that's not why you're not getting subscribership, okay? You don't need to start cursing. People are not coming for that. Is who do you relate to? Like, who is you? When you watch everybody, who is you and what is your area of expertise? For us, we sat there and I said, this is how I talk. This is how I tell my stories. This is my style of communication. This is what I know a lot about. This is what we want to go to next. Here's where I see the market's lacking. And then this is us. We're sticking to here versus, well, but I also want to talk about this and I also want to talk about this. The more you stay like this at the beginning, the more you can go like this later on. The challenge isn't that you will never be able to go wide, because so many times content creators want to go wide very early. That's a mistake. Stay here at the beginning. Then as you get bigger and bigger, then you have the opportunity to go this way. The same way with creating wealth. A lot of times people read books on multiple streams of income. You know, that's how you make your money today. Maybe, but to me, I would much rather put 10 years in one industry like this, then make a few $100 million or $10 million or $5 million, and then I'll go like this. But not, I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this. No, pick one thing, stick to that, and then you'll have the biggest advantage later on.
Number 2 is consult with our creative team to brainstorm new names for the channel. So if we're launching a new project, and I want to hit this from a couple levels, you're far along in your career. You had dollars as you started Valuetainment, but let's hit level number 1. What's your advice for somebody on that tip that is thinking, I don't necessarily have a creative team, I'm trying to sit down and maybe start building a team. Resources are maybe limited. We have so many entrepreneurs though in the room, and they're maybe trying to get the mindset of investing, how to build a media company, how do I hire? Let's speak to level 1 and then maybe those that are further along.
So look, I'm coming out, a guy at the airport we're talking to, a Syrian guy. He's an actor trying to make it in Hollywood, but he's also in Miami. So we're talking. I said, you know, if I wanted to be an actor, here's what I would do. Notice how Adam Sandler makes movies with the same 5 guys over and over and over again, okay? Notice how Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson, how many times they did the same thing. Notice how Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence notice how people that started making movies, Jon Favreau and Vince Vaughn. How many of you guys seen Swingers? If you have ever seen that documentary before, it's a true story, by the way. Okay, you watch all these movies, right? And you're like, okay, Wedding Crashers. They keep doing things together. This is the point. If you're at the beginning and you don't have a lot of resources, Pick 3 to 5 people that also want to create content, and then collaborate with the technology you buy together. I'll put 500, you put 500, let's buy a few things together, and then let's use it. And then you'll find people, I'll be your camera guy, you be my camera guy. Hey, I'm learning how to edit. Can you learn how to edit? There's so many, nowadays, everything is accessible for people to learn how to edit. I got a 10-year-old son that's learning how to edit. Okay, I mean, it's so easy today to learn, but I would probably find another group like here. This is a great place to network and meet other people. When this event ends, don't go to your room or just go by people that you know. Go shake hands with people that you were impressed with the most. Go network here and say, hey, here's what we're thinking about doing. What's working out for you, right? And then start a community and build on that. Today's iPhone is what a great camera was 10 years ago. A $3,000 camera, $5,000 camera is today's iPhone. You can create picture-perfect content with just a phone today, and almost everybody here's got an iPhone.
What about level 2? You're wanting to scale up and you're scaling Valuetainment. I just saw a picture of your building. You're putting the logo on the outside. It's new levels. For those that are maybe like, okay, you're adding personalities, you're looking for talent to make your content even better. What are just some brief tips on what you think about scaling to the next level of a media company?
So the media company, it's something that it's got to matter to you, because it's a very hard game. It's not easy to be able to go do that. But if you do want to go that route, for us, we're recruiting talent right now. And the talent kind of has to fit what our main core values are. The number one core value for us is capitalism. I'm concerned about America today. I'm concerned certain arguments about certain economical systems is convincing people today. And I see a lot of people, this is a challenge a lot of times with doers. A lot of times doers are quiet. Complainers are loud. Doers are quiet. Doers just kind of put their heads down and go build their family, take care of their wife, their husband, their kids. They're good citizens locally, and they have a lot of tolerance. So when people are talking and they're loud, they don't say anything. What they don't realize is happening is the people that are in the middle that are oblivious think the complainers are right, and you're wrong for staying quiet. So my fear is the fact that this great system of capitalism that allows a regular guy like me to win at the highest level, at the level that I'm at right now, and other people in America around the world, especially a guy that left Iran, people think that's a bad system. Yeah, I'm going to explain the story in a completely different way, okay? I'm going to go out there and make my nose in my own way to make sure people still see that capitalism, the most fairest system that's out there for people to build their dream life, whatever that may be. You may want to just make $100 grand a year being at home. You may want to make $1 million. You may want to be a billionaire. It doesn't matter. Capitalism allows for all those systems to be in place. Capitalism allows somebody to go with the company. I'm reading a book right now called After Steve, meaning after Steve Jobs. It just came out a few weeks ago. And it tells a story about how many people that got stock options at Apple, that's worth 100 times today. 10 years ago when they were like, guy was in there, next thing you know, he's got $18 million in stocks. Some of you guys may not start businesses, but some of you guys may team up with a Sean and the company grows and you're part of that grind together and you win that way. There's so many ways to do it, but for us, once your messaging is clear, then the world starts realizing that you really stand up genuinely for that message. Then people show up, and when they do, realize that you sold the vision and the dream, you have to come through on that vision and the dream. If you just say it and it's lip service, everybody will realize it. And then if you want to build that media company, it's 60 to 80 hours a week for a long time. So if you really want to do that, cannot wait to see you guys do that part. But the right person who wants to build a media company and compete at that level, nobody needs to sell you or push you away from doing it. You're going to do it, and you're going to be okay with the work that it requires.
That's level 2, man. Tip number 3 or move number 3, and I love this one, is buy and study every book on marketing and media that exists. I can't believe I was like, wow. I mean, how many? But I want to hear from you. What would be some of the top? First of all, of course, the principle is if you ever want to kind of move into a new vertical, study the greats. One of my favorite tips from you is there's a certain number of reviews. What's your criteria for the books you should read?
It used to be 200. Right now, it's probably 500.
At least 500 reviews.
If a book, so if I want to, like, I got 2 boys, 2 girls. If I want to learn how to raise girls, I'll buy any book on a father raising a daughter, over 500 reviews, and I want to read those books.
Powerful. Okay,
yeah.
So what are a couple books on marketing and media that you'd recommend this room read?
It's the old one, The Advertising Man.
Old movie?
Yes, it's the old one.
Yeah.
Anything with Kellogg. There's another one called Positioning, which is fascinating. Positioning is fascinating. Contagious is a must. It's an orange book. There's so many of them. I did a whole video when I said the top 10 to read on marketing. But, you know, the thing about marketing is people think sales and marketing is the same thing. You know this. You've been in business long enough. There's a different ability in marketing versus sales. Sales is, here's the options. Let me find out what your pressure points are. Let me get the objections. I know the FAQs. We're getting to a point. Which one do you want to go? Do you see any reason why we shouldn't get started today? No, we do. Marketing is storytelling, knowing who not to compete with. You know who's going to be a waste of time, that you're going to lose that battle. Like, look at Jake Paul. Jake Paul fought 2 UFC fighters. Where did Jake Paul fight him? Did he fight him in UFC rules or boxing rules? Boxing. Why did he fight him in boxing rules? What would have happened if Jake Paul fought Ben Askren in UFC rules? Who do you think? It's game over. Wait, so look how much of a genius he is where he's getting people to fight in his turf. So marketing is you getting your story to be in an area that you have an advantage, not your competitors.
Number 4 is identify who we don't want to be as much as who we want to be. What a powerful move.
Yeah, very early on. I mean, I used to ask myself, do you want to get married? Do you want to have kids? What's the point of getting married? Everybody says, I want to get married. Why do you want to get married? Well, that's what you're saying. Everybody's getting married around me. Who cares if everybody's getting married? Why do you want to get married? No one's ever asked me that question before. Maybe you want to ask that question. Why do you want to get married? Half the time when you date, it's not about what you're looking for. It's what you know for a fact you ain't looking for. You know what I'm saying? It's like, listen, after the last 2, I know for a fact I'm not going to be wanting this, this, and this. All the other stuff I can tolerate. The same thing goes with business, right? Who do you not want to be? Look at everybody in the market and say, I'm not that guy. That's not me. This isn't me. Not who you want to be. You already know who you want to be. It's who you don't want to be. And that part takes a little bit more work to figure out.
We're going to jump right back into today's featured conversation, but I wanted to let you know about a brand new free masterclass and downloadable guide that's available for you at 21videotips.com. If you like content like this that you're learning from Patrick Bet-David and Sean Cannell, you can get 21 more video marketing tips from people like Patrick Bet-David, Vanessa Lau, Pat Flynn, Alex Hermosi, and so many industry experts that are using powerful strategies for their video marketing today. You're going to learn the best kept business secrets inside of this masterclass and free downloadable guide. So head over to 21videotips.com to get instant access for free and learn how you can level up your business and brand from today's top industry experts. Now let's get back into today's featured content.
Moving up.
Attention super markup shoppers, it's about time we paid everyday low prices, like at Aldi, not increasingly high prices for potatoes. Aldi doesn't play pricing games. That's why they're number 1 in everyday low prices.
It's an Aldi thing.
Use Kayak to compare hundreds of travel sites at once? I like to do things myself. No machine is better than me.
Kayak. Search one and done.
Turn ordinary campaigns into influencer marketing powered results with Later. Get started today.
Your choice was the greatest investment I've ever done in my life.
Pod's biggest sale in history. Save up to 30% on moving and storage until May 19th. And see why Pods is America's #1 container moving company. Whether you're relocating or renovating, save up to 30% at pods.com today.
Move number 5, make the channel about the mission rather than my personality. And one of the powerful points in your talk was you're building a business and a personal brand, but you're saying make the channel about the mission. Explain that.
Yeah, so, you know, because, again, if you're trying to be an individual brand alone, it's not the mission. It's got to be around you and your personality. That's going to be fine. But if it is around building a company around the brand, it's got to be a mission. Because a mission, all of a sudden, what happens the following. Say, for instance, how many of you guys have seen that one channel? It's called Dad, How Do I? Have you seen that channel, Dad, How Do I? Have you guys heard of that channel, Dad, How Do I? Do you guys know how many subscribers he got in his first month? 1 million subscribers in his first month, okay? 1 million. The guy's in his mid-50s, right? So he says, hi, I don't know what his name is. We've communicated a few times. He says, Today I'm going to show you what to do if you have a leak in the plumbing. This is what you do. It's a 5-minute video, and he shows you how to do it. Today I'm going to show you what happens if your doorknob breaks down. Here's how to fix it. You go to Home Depot, you buy this. You're just kind of like, what a sweet man. I love this man. Man, I need to know, because secretly I have no clue how to fix my plumbing when it leaks. Other people need to watch this as well. Cool. For that, the mission is more about, I wish I had a father like him growing up that taught me how to do this, right? People connect with that. But to him, that's him. It's not really, I'm going to take over the world, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But if you're trying to build it into a company, the mission is going to matter a lot, because people connect emotionally to a mission. This book, again, I'm reading after Steve. One of the guys that's around with Apple who had a different way of looking at the company than Tim Cook, he kept trying to think about the way that Steve Jobs built the company, because to him, it was all about think different. Versus to Tim Cook, it's, hey, what does Spotify charge? This much? Let's pay this much. Boom. Now we got 20 million reoccurring people that are using our Apple. So, but Steve Jobs would say, I don't care what Spotify charges. We think different. You use Apple because of this. So Apple has lost the mission and the vision. It's become a little bit more logical, even though it's a $3 trillion company right now, $2 trillion company right now. The younger generation is not saying, I want to go work for Apple. The younger engineers coming out saying, I want to work for who? What's the younger generation say they want to work for? The younger engineers coming out of Harvard, who do they want to work for? One guy, Elon Musk. Because to him, it's what? We're going to go to Mars. We're going to go to this. We're going to go build this. So it's like the mission, the vision. Man, I want to be around this guy. I want to work with a guy like this. That's when you're drawing people in. So yeah, the mission and the vision is going to matter if that's your vision.
Number 6, create a new logo, name, and website that embodies a leading educator. This is maybe something we don't take that seriously. We just throw up some channel art, we get on Canva, we do some things. This was a serious move for you. Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, again, if it matters to you, my son picks out his clothes, my middle son, my second son. My oldest son, he'd go out with sandals. He could care less what he wears. I'm not even kidding with you. My middle son, he goes, he takes my cologne, he does this, he puts the gel perfectly, he puts his necklace out, he puts the belt, tucks his shirt in, perfect nice shoes, and he walks out like this, okay? To him, he's a brand. To my oldest son, he could care less. Here's a point. If your logo excites you, because there's a story behind it, that's what matters. It excites me. Because the logo we have with the lion, the Valuetainment logo, it's a lion and an eagle. It's tattooed on Mario's forearm here. It's a story about a fiction book I wrote that we're publishing right now. It's taken me 11 years to finally feel comfortable publishing this book, because it's a story about me being from Iran, Assyrian. It's depth. To me, you'll feel it because it matters to me. But if it's like, listen, I really don't care about what kind of clothes I wear, don't worry about it. Neither do people either. You may sell people in a different way. So logo and color only matters if you're that kind of a person. If you're not, don't overthink it.
And when maybe not a logo, if you don't have to overthink it, if that's not a value, but what do you think about the value of picking the right name, especially as a content creator in business or in any niche, as well as securing your website as a to-do list in these moves?
It has to matter to you. Again, it goes back to you. Okay, folks, on 3, scream out your favorite name in the world that you gave to your kid. Or if you don't have a kid right now, you would name your kid that name because you love it. You ready? On 3. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Okay. For me, my favorite name in the world is first Patrick, Gabriel, David. Patrick's me. Gabriel's my dad. David's my last name. My second name, my wife and I love this name, Dylan. Do you know why I love Dylan? Does anybody love the name Dylan? I love Dylan because I love Luke Perry. The guy was a stud, Luke Perry, right? I like this Dylan guy, right? Everybody had their own character. To me, Luke Perry was like the bomb, right? Chill, cool, you know? I like the name Dylan. I like Dylan. My daughter's name is Senna Rose Bedavid. You know why Senna? Because I love Ayrton Senna, the race car driver from Brazil. It's spelled the same way as a race car. I've watched his documentary over 100 times. I'll sit at midnight and watch the documentary of Senna and get the chills all over. Anytime I want to compete, anytime I'm in a place where I'm just kind of like, we're going to do something big, I put the documentary at night because my blood is boiling. So my daughter's name is Senna Rose, but David Rose is my grandma's name. Senna's the race car driver's name. Everything has a meaning to it, but to me, to you, If your company's name has meaning to you, it's going to have meaning to everybody else because of the way you sell it to them. Make sense? It's the best way I'll explain company names.
Number 7 is attend social media industry conferences and learn different strategies. Wow, you're making the right moves. Let's look at the name. And I just want to ask on that one, how do you decide? You're super busy. You're running 2 companies at an incredibly high level, putting in a ton of hours. How much time do you budget for learning and conferences or continued education?
Regularly. I don't have a choice. Here's why. This is my interpretation of what you just said. The only way, in my mind, I'm convinced I'm not yet ready for the next level, whatever the next level is for me, right? In my mind. So if I want to get to the next level, I have to meet a new PBD, new version of myself. Okay. So this year, I look at the weaknesses of our businesses and our management team, bless you. On the insurance side, on my sales side, and Vitamin home office side, right? Vitamin is a startup. Insurance, I hired 5 C-suite executives. They all have fancy degrees. They all work for big insurance companies, and now they're coming to work for a guy like me, and I hired them all at the same time. It's problematic when you hire 5 C-suite alpha people who are all very good at what they do, who have all been part of a publicly traded company, and you put them in, now you got 7 of them, and they're working with me. So I looked at everybody, and I started seeing that people are having a hard time having crucial conversations together. And I said, whose fault is this? I said, okay, no problem. Here's what I'm going to do. There's an organization in Utah called Crucial Learning, okay? I used them 15 years ago or 12 years ago. Love their program. They're $15,000 to use. By the way, I don't make money if you call these guys. They're $15,000 to use, and then you got to fly everybody in, and you got to get a hotel room. It's around $30,000. 2 weeks ago, Tuesday, Wednesday, I brought them in. They trained 20 of my employees of Vitamin for 2 days straight. I was in the room from 8 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The next day, Thursday, Friday, I flew them out to go to Addison, Texas. First one was in Fort Lauderdale. Second one was in Addison, Texas. They trained all my C-suite executives and my directors for 8 to 4, 2 days in a row, because we needed to learn how to have crucial conversations together. Then I'm taking all my top 20 earners, sales leaders, and I'm putting them in the room. Then I'm going to have my 40 VPs take their 20 best salespeople, sit them in the room to learn how to have tough conversations together. Because 90% of the reasons why companies don't grow, and there's challenges in any organization, people do not know how to talk to each other in a tough way. They don't know, so they do the biggest mistake, which is what? Don't even talk to each other. Do you know what happened ever since? By the way, and every time I've done these types of meetings, which I do a lot, the first person everybody wants to have a crucial conversation with is who? You. With me. They're like, well, Pat, I want to have this conversation. I just want you to know I respect the work you do. You're a great leader. However, there's a couple areas I'm like, okay, give it to me, right? But I'm proud of them because they're learning how to do this. So to go back and to answer your question for you, 10 years ago, when we were going to do creating content, I wasn't yet convinced. We went to a social media world. I don't know what it was. It was in San Diego, and one of the guys, his name was Michael Hyatt. You may know Michael Hyatt. He's from Tennessee. He used to run Thomas Nelson, I want to say, was the CEO. And he got up and he gave a message about podcasts. And I said, you know what? I understand that. And another guy named John Lee Dumas spoke. He was an Army guy, and I'm an Army guy. I said, if these guys are doing it, you know what, let me consider this. So they played the role in my life where maybe other people played the role in your life. So these investments, as you make these investments, everyone's going to have some kind of a shift in you, but hopefully you get the right messaging to lead. But for me, it's ongoing. That's probably never going to stop for the rest of my life.
All right, so we're going to do number 8, and because of our time allotment, I need a couple things. Number 1, I need you to message PBD on social media to see if he'll do a part 2 on the podcast. Number 2, we're going to look at this final tip here, and these have been so amazing, though. Number 2, though, is get the book, because you could see, because you're like, wait, you said there's going to be all 15 moves. Then you need to listen to that podcast that we hopefully do together. And then, of course, number 3, though, is seriously get this book.
This guy's a pro.
Yeah.
This guy's a pro. You just put the pressure on me. I got to commit. And I like his style.
No hype at all, man. This book is really amazing. Your next 5 moves, and this is page 232, and you're not going to know all the tips, but we will hit number 8 to land the plane on 15 moves. You were so strategic, and just think it through. I'm going to lay out my moves as I'm going to approach my next target, and that's how we're ending our day, right? So I hope you're taking notes and thinking about what are some of your next moves for your business, your brand. But number 8 8 is start learning the language of media and what needs to be tracked. Of course, in your session, you hit a lot of this, but I'd love your author notes on learning the language of media, but also for you what matters when it comes to tracking in valuetainment.
Everything is data. So for me, 7 years ago, 2014 will be what, 8 years ago, Tom Ellsworth, who is a guy that introduced me to Vistage, and I was part of Vistage. He was the guy that my pastor's like, you got to meet this guy, Tom Ellsworth, smartest guy in the church. I meet Tom, and then one guy whispers, he says, you know who that guy is? I said, I have no clue who he is. He gave $660,000 to the church last year. I said, he gave 660, 10%, 6.6. Okay, respect. How you doing? Good to meet you, you know? It's like, so then we start talking. I'm like, this guy's brilliant. So he was part of a company called JamDad. They sold it to EA Sports for $680 million. So we're sitting there, we're talking to each other, and while we're having this conversation, he starts mentoring me about media and all this stuff. 2014, he says, Pat, you need a BI. I said, BI? We need to hire business analytics expert. Like, how much are they? 60 grand. Nope, I'm good. Not right now. We can't hire them. Just trust me. You need to hire a business analyst. I said, we can get one. $8 an hour. You know, I mean, you understand what I'm saying? It's like, listen, just trust me. It's 60 a year minimum. We have a good one. We'll get him. I said, okay, whatever. We can hire one. He says, but my recommendation, we hire 3. He says, we hire 3, we keep 2, and then one of them who stays with us, that's the best one, we give him a raise. I'm like, so you want me to do 180? It's not really 180. It's just, I'm telling you, I'm like, so I said, okay, whatever. I'm not convinced, guys. I'm very skeptical at this time because in my mind, I'm doing 15 grand a month. And there's better places I can invest 15 grand a month in my eyes, right? He says, just trust me. You hired me to be your president. Let me do my job. I said, fine, whatever. So he goes, he hires a 3. Brings them in. 3 weeks into it, these guys come to my office. They say, hey, Mr. David, we noticed a couple things we want to bring to your attention. Did you know that when it comes down to your ratios of licensing to how many new agents you bring, did you know that this state does the best ratios because of this person and that person? And did you know this state that we think are the best in the company, they're actually the worst in getting people licensed? I said, let me see this thing right here. That's pretty sick. Is this serious? Yeah, this one. Tom, this is big. I told you. So the next thing you know, I get on a call and I start going and visiting those offices. Licensing came up. We doubled licensing. We went from 500 to 1,200. I'm like, and he said, hey, Mr. David, we have 3 other things we'd like to share. Whenever you have some time, we want to show this to you, and I would come in. So if you look at this here, when it comes down to this data, you notice that and I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. So then one day I get out of control. I'm like, you know what I want you to pull up? What? I want you to pull up this is kind of weird stuff. You're going to hear from me. I want you to pull up which zodiac sign makes the most money in the company. So I'm thinking to see how good these guys are, whether they can pull it up. No problem. Give us 1 day. Like, these guys are serious. The next day, do you know? And I'm thinking, because I'm a Libra, I'm like, for sure it's going to be Libras at the top. So I say, tell me who's at the top. He says, well, the best sign for people who make the most money is Aries. I said, what? I said, what's 2? Cancer. What's 3? You know who was last? Libra was last. I was so I'm like, this doesn't work. This is not accurate, right? I said, throw this trash away. I don't want to look at it again, right? But the point is, everything became data because all of a sudden, it's like somebody put on a lens and I see like a new dimension I never saw before. Data allows you to adjust and improve in areas and not put time in areas that you're not getting the return, and put more time into areas you are getting a return. Same thing that I did with the insurance company, we did the same exact way with valuetainment. And obviously the data shows what happened with us, because without data, you're not going to improve. So yes, great point on the data. If you're not doing it, highly recommend it.
Well, there's 8 of your next moves. Can we give it up for Patrick Bet David?
Well, I hope you enjoyed that conversation from Growth Video Live with Patrick Bet-David and Sean Cannell. And let me know in the comments, I know we only got through a few of those steps. Do you want to hear the rest of them? We would love to bring Patrick back on or have a discussion between myself and Sean. But let me know in the comment section on YouTube, do you want the rest of the author notes from Patrick Bet-David? Let me know by leaving a review or that comment in the YouTube channel. We'll also make sure to link Patrick's book down below, and you you can get that on audio or in Kindle or physical copy. It is an excellent book that I recommend that you read from cover to cover with your highlighter and pens ready. Thank you so much for being a part of what we're doing here at Think Media. We have so many amazing conversations like this coming to the podcast. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you like to consume your content. And I want to thank those who have been rating and reviewing the podcast. You can go to Apple Podcasts to leave your review or leave a comment down below on the YouTube channel. Today's featured community member comes from Risen Sons 89. Advice and insight is unmatched. I've been listening to this podcast for almost 2 years now, and I finally started my YouTube channel a few months ago. Trust me, the advice and insight they offer is truly unmatched. Thank you, Think Media. Well, Rising Sons, thank you so much for leaving that comment, and I'm so excited that you started your YouTube channel. I cannot wait to see what happens in 52 weeks from now when you've got one video out every single week, what that's going to do to your business and your brand. Congratulations on getting started. Well, hey, if you've not liked this video, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button. And have you shared this podcast with a friend? If you know an entrepreneur, a content creator who needs to know information like this, then make sure you share this podcast with them. It would be an honor to get to help your friends and family grow their online business as well. Thanks so much for being a part of what we're doing here at Think Media, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye.
Presenting Tyson lightly breaded boneless chicken bites.
Before I understood what nuclear truly meant, before I could use my mind to move a submarine, I had to be born for it.
People don't grow because they want money to buy things. A lot of people's businesses don't grow because they want the business to give them money so they can get a Corvette. This is back to you've got to find the thing you like. Because if you're building a brand or your thing to buy the yacht, you're not going to build a very big thing. So for me, this thing that we're talking about, I don't want the things that come from being the best entrepreneur in the world. I just want to be the best entrepreneur in the world.
As content creators in this day and age, it is critical that we have the pulse on what's actually happening in this world when it comes to social media, YouTube, when it comes to scaling your business. How do you actually get out there and make content that people want to hear? In today's episode, we're going to be diving into some exclusive content that we had at our annual event, Grow with Video Live, where Sean Cannell and Gary Vaynerchuk sat down to discuss things like how social media and YouTube are changing, how TikTok is gunning for everyone right now, and why short form video is critical for your content strategy right now. I want to welcome you to the Think Media podcast. My name's Heather Torres, the host of this show here at Think Media, where we want to help you grow your influence using video and then turn that influence into a high impact and a high income online business. If you're new to the podcast family, we want to welcome you and ask you subscribe wherever you're consuming this content, whether it be the audio version or over on our Think Media podcast YouTube channel, where we have exclusive content just for you over there. So make sure you're subscribed, and every single Tuesday you'll get a brand new upload. Plus, on our YouTube channel, we have additional videos and content like our industry expert friends that come and teach, as well as short form and other long form videos that you don't want to miss. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you're consuming this content. Now, today's episode is special to me because this is someone who I have personally been following and seeing his career explode over the last probably decade when it comes to the online space. This is Gary Vaynerchuk. He was one of our keynote speakers at Grow with Video Live 2022. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Gary Vaynerchuk, he's actually a serial entrepreneur and he serves as the chairman of VaynerX. He's the CEO of VaynerMedia and the creator and CEO of VFriends. Gary is a New York Times bestselling author of books like Crush It, The Thank You Economy, Jab, 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 Right Hook, and his latest book, 12 and a Half. From starting his first YouTube channel in the basement of his father's liquor store to creating a massive online following of over 40 million people across all the platforms of YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, Gary's actually one of the leading experts in online marketing, helping entrepreneurs like you learn how to get attention online. So this is an exclusive conversation between Sean Cannell and Gary Vaynerchuk that they had at Grow with Video Live. And I do need to say a disclaimer. Normally, we are a very family-friendly, actually, we are a family-friendly podcast. But if you know anything about Gary V, you know that he definitely is abrasive in his language. So if you've got little ones around, this would be the episode where you plug in those earbuds. This is not something I personally would play in the car around my kids unless they are age appropriate for the language used in this. I believe that everyone can create content however they'd like, but we just want to make sure that you know that this is family friendly here at Think Media. Now, Gary Vaynerchuk is going to be talking about social media in this context, and he actually did a talk at Growth Video where he dove into just the content strategy that you should be having right now. So this is an extension of that talk that he gave that Sean got to really go deeper in some of the topics. I'm excited for you to jump into this. I'll meet you on the other side of the content. Lean in, Think Media fam, and here you go with Gary Vaynerchuk.
Let's rock and roll. Hey, couple questions from the man, VaynerMedia. You're in touch with what's happening. And one of the things that Susan, the CEO of YouTube, put in the letter at the beginning of the year was that YouTube is talking about integrating NFTs. One of the things that they put out there, who knows if they'll execute. Do you have any thoughts about that? And should creators be waiting for that? I mean, what would your advice be? And do you think they're going to execute that well?
I'm not sure on the last part because there's a million things go into that I have no clue on. I think on the first part, you have to understand, that last thing I ended with, or right before I ended, like, people really, like, again, for the youngsters, this may sound crazy, people really thought the internet was a fad, like, actually, right? And I thought everybody would have a website and every company, and they did. Social media really was weird. Like, people really didn't want it to happen. They thought it was awkward. They thought it was stupid. They thought it was for just kids. Most people have a social network, right, that they're involved in. There's not a business on earth that's not going to have NFT infrastructure. It doesn't make any sense. It's technology. Right now, everyone's too fascinated on the art and the collectibles part. That's a tiny thing. Everyone's focused on the art and collectibles with a hint of utility, like I just did with VCon. The NFT is a ticket. It's going to flip. It's utilities with a hint of collectability. Everyone of Delta, your ticket, that might be worth $3 because it has some artist on it, but there's a million of them, right? So, of course they're going to integrate it. There's no alternative.
TikTok just made a major move, and they talked about a 50-50 split, which would be the first platform that's come in for YouTube's super generous ad rev share. That has been a major, I think, a reason why creators flock there. It pays the best. Right now, it's limited to big creators, 100,000. And what do you think in terms of your predictions in TikTok gunning for everybody right now?
Look, I think they've done a really good job. I think, first of all, their algorithm is based on the interest graph instead of the social graph, which is a huge advantage. And I believe in merit. So my favorite thing is to look at all your TikToks where this video got 17 views, this one got 430, and this one got 1.9 million. That feels like merit. Everybody's Instagram being around the same numbers doesn't feel like merit. And so I think we're intoxicated by the merit of it. They've been very aggressive. They've already won. And now they're just going to expand. That's what everybody does, right? So they won on this thing. Now they're saying, oh, you can make longer videos. Oh, you can write more. Like today, I was like, wait a minute, I can write more copy? I missed the headlines. I've been in like a cocoon for 4 months with VCon and Series 2 Be Friends. So they'll just create everything. And so, yeah, I mean, I think they're incredibly aggressive. They're still acting like a small company. They're innovating. And now they've got everybody following them. They're the clear leader, in my opinion, of the attention graph, which I think is the most important currency in the world. And I think it's a smart move.
If you backstage, you said something. You said that short form is a gateway to long form. So what would your strategy be for that? If you're making TikToks, you're getting the short form reach. Is long form substance in your opinion? And does that mean send people off platform? Does that mean try to get TikTok to get your account to 10 minutes, which is super interesting, longer form vertical video? What do you mean by short form as a gateway to long form, and what would the tactics be in that?
It means that a lot of long-form creators don't focus on short form and vice versa. And there's a reason I have 1 hour keynote videos and 1 hour podcasts, but also pound unlimited micro content that's 10 seconds long. You can go very tactical, and you know, a lot of people want to hear that. They're like, should I make a TikTok that says watch the rest on YouTube? It's less about that. People will find you. They become intrigued. Your URL strategy on all your social networks should be very thoughtful. I'm constantly changing them based on whatever my objectives are. But it just means that the world of content creating should be always thought about as and I notice that everybody's into or. Right? People are insecure. Most of you did not start on TikTok fast enough because you didn't have followers on it. You didn't start on TikTok fast enough because you had 80,000 followers on Instagram and you had 0 on TikTok, and you didn't like that feeling. That's why celebrities lost the first time around. So like the things that you made fun of people for on Instagram, you became on TikTok. And so, you know, I think it's always and. Everyone's like, or. They're like, Gary, I'm already on Instagram. They love using like logical excuses like, Gary, I need to focus. I'm like, cool. Knock yourself out. I'll talk to you in 36 months when you're crying. You're focusing on losing. The lack of humility and the lack of interest in putting in the work on a new thing because you just figured out the last thing is why most people don't grow. There's not an accident that I've been winning on every platform for the last 15 years. It's called humility and hard work. You think I was pumped when I had 1 million followers on Twitter and Instagram came along? I was pissed. I'm like, I'm winning this bird game. But I'm like, everyone's gonna go there, so I need to go. You think I was pumped when TikTok came along? I was dominating the gram. I was like, that's where it's gonna be. So the lack of humility and the lack of like, I don't want to learn this new thing, I just got this, that's fine. There's a problem though. What you want has nothing to do with what the market is doing. The market doesn't give a shit about your feelings. The market's not like, oh, Tyrone spent a lot of time on Instagram, we should not create TikTok. You think God's thinking like that? Get the out of here.
Gary, that's a great lead-in.
But it's like, right? It's like the hypocrisy's hilarious, especially within social. You won on YouTube or you won on Instagram doing that to the person that was holding on to Twitter or Facebook, but then you're mad when TikTok's doing it to you. The hypocrisy is deafening.
Powerful. Come on, yeah. Gary, that's a great lead-in to...
By the way, I'm laughing did you see this?
Yeah.
No video, hard drive crashed.
Yep, got it. I
That
know.
makes me laugh.
Brutal. I know, right? But it's nice.
See, you have to adjust to reality.
We're adjusting. We got to pivot right now.
You wanted some sort of video.
That's right.
But the hard drive crashed.
We got to pivot.
Got to pivot.
Yeah, life is life.
I'm pumped that you got a blue check on Instagram, but here comes TikTok to f it up. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
You're going to sit and hope? I'm watching everybody like hope. I hope this TikTok thing doesn't happen. All of you got forced in. Technology will beat your... I love all of you that don't think NFTs are coming. You will lose. You're pumped that the market's down. See? See nothing. I'll see you in 2027.
Let's go, baby! Hey, I love this lead into TikTok. There's a lot of people in the room they're at a place where there are a lot of people doing really well. I mean, some people starting out, and you always say, if you don't got money, but you got time, you got to put the sweat equity in. But there's people in the room, they have money, and I'd like to hear about Team Gary Vee. Like, And a lot of people think, okay, to do this, because you say, I went on TikTok, but part of the way you're doing that is because people are multiplying your content, you're casting vision. Can you speak into maybe, Team Gary Vee is pretty advanced now.
Yes.
Can we start a little bit at the beginning as you think about those that would say, what about my first hires? How do I even do this? I'm great at real estate or financial services, but okay, how do I start, where do I get my D-Rock? Where do I get the whole thing? Speak to early stages of building that team to help you grow with video.
You need to hire people that do things that you don't want to do.
Yes.
Where do you find them?
The internet. People say things that drive me crazy because they don't want to do it. As if you can't find it. Are you telling me you're at this conference and you can't find people? You don't know what Fiverr is, you don't know how to post on LinkedIn, you don't know how to search terms on Twitter. Like, people come up with excuses. A lot of people don't grow because they want money to buy things. A lot of people's businesses don't grow because they want the business to give them money so they can get a Corvette or a second. This is back to, you've got to find the thing you like. Because if you're building a brand or your thing to buy the yacht, you're not going to build a very big thing. I'm just building the thing to build the thing. It's more interesting for me to build the thing than it is. It's like this. Some people actually, here's a great comp. This blew my mind. One of the most stunning things that happened to me in my life. My whole life, I've wanted to be a professional athlete, right? So by 5th grade, I was like, I don't think I can play for the Jets. These kids have gotten much bigger and stronger. In fact, I had such good hand-eye coordination that I was killing people in 1st and 2nd and 3rd grade. But somewhere around like 5th grade, I'm like, why is everyone twice my size now? And so I was like, this might not be in the cards, and that's when I decided to buy the Jets. But I was like, if I can't play for it, I'll just own the whole thing. So now me and AJ get into the sports business and we have a big practice now. And when I realized that a lot of kids play professional sports, but they don't love the game, it was just their best way to monetize, that like blew my mind. And I mean, really don't like it. And like even when we recruit kids now, I never want to recruit a kid that doesn't love the game. Because I don't think they're going to be at the, because we make our money on the 2nd and 3rd contract. There's kids that sign that first contract, and it's a wrap. You want to know why people are out of the league in 3-4 years? Because they didn't give a about the game. So for me, this thing that we're talking about, I don't want the things that come from being the best entrepreneur in the world. I just want to be the best entrepreneur in the world.
We're going to jump right back into today's featured conversation, but I wanted to let you know about a brand new free masterclass and downloadable guide that's available for you at 21videotips.com. If you like content like this that you're learning from Patrick Bet-David and Sean Cannell, you can get 21 more video marketing tips from people like Patrick Bet-David, Vanessa Lau, Pat Flynn, Alex Hormozi, and so many industry experts that are using powerful strategies for their video marketing today. You're going to learn the best kept business secrets inside of this masterclass and free downloadable guide. So head over to 21videotips.com to get instant access for free and learn how you can level up your business and brand from today's top industry experts. Now let's get back into today's featured content.
So it goes to like, do you love it? Because if you don't, you can't get there. And so a lot of people don't have a D-Rock or a team because they don't want to spend the $53,000 on it because they want a Birka bag and they want to go to Tahiti and they want a Lambo. You're taking the money out of your business for your insecurities instead of feeding the business to win the game. People want to look successful more than actually be successful. Back to why I make so much content about self-esteem. The reason I focus on love and being kind to yourself and the shit that I've been talking about is that's the seed of the whole game. If you need Lambos and chains and accolades and check marks and 1 million followers to clog the holes that you have in your soul, then you're going to not be able to build meaningful things because you're taken out of your business instead of feeding it.
Gary, for stage 2, and this is kind of a personal question, because I'm a case study for it. You know, your influence I went from making tech review videos, from reviewing tech, doing tech tutorials and affiliate marketing, built a 6-figure income. One of the biggest pieces of advice as I'm watching your content and I'm absorbing is we put it back in. We put it back in. My wife and I just looked at the numbers in 2019. Our income went down. Our net was like nothing, because we went all in team. And then in 2020, things 4x'd after making a massive investment back in our business. We're now 23 people, and we're trying to really follow your model. 63 pieces of content a day, that free deck that you have or whatever.
All of the numbers I throw out are completely arbitrary. The number, I mean it. You're talking about the 86 pieces of content,
86.
Gary, yeah.
73?
4 TikToks a day. All of it's arbitrary. The number is as much as humanly possible. There are more at-bats for attention and opportunity. You know what's better than 100 push-ups? 200. You like that one, huh? But I love, you know who I love the most? Fitness people. Fitness entrepreneurs are my favorite. Let me tell you why. They're so good at their craft. But then with the business, they don't do the thing they do in fitness. And fitness entrepreneurs on people because people want shortcuts in fitness. They want implants, they want apple cider vinegar pills, they want all sorts of, when the answer is put the work in the gym and eat properly, follow the model. But then as entrepreneurs, you see these all beefed up, did everything perfect. I'm talking about the ones that don't cheat. I'm talking about doing it right. And then they come to business and they're like, what's the shortcut? And I'm like, you know that there's no shortcut in this. The f*** are you looking for shortcut in this? Right? They fascinate me because they have such a big chapter of their life they know. Everyone's like, I spent 38 years looking for the shortcut. I'm like, they're like, it's go in the gym and eat properly.
Amen.
So back to content, I'm like, I don't know. Some of you make really good TikToks, but you don't do this. You have to be contextual to the platform. You have to know who the audience is, and slang matters, right? You have to understand, you have to put in the reps, the content output. Everybody tries to use social as distribution. They make one piece of content and post it everywhere. That completely doesn't work. You've got to contextualize and post creative for the platform. I've given 3 talks today. Flew in, that's why I was able to make it work with VCon. I'm super pumped about surrounding this, and I surrounded it. All 3 are different. I have to read the room. The philosophical is the same, but it's got to be different, right? It's like cuisine. It's all food, but it's different. And you have to know your audience. I don't understand how people come with YouTube DNA into TikTok and think it's going to work. The mindset's different. The same person, the same human. I'm not talking about age and gender and race and religion. The same human being is a different consumer on TikTok than they are on Instagram. Your mindset's different. One's passive entertainment. On LinkedIn, it might be information. It's all context.
So level 2 Gary V, Team Gary V.
Yes.
And so maybe break down, I'm taking advantage of a little bit of advice, how you built the team, how fast you're trying to scale the team. Do you have people running, operating things, editors?
At this point, everything, and maybe some people that are really paying attention, my content's a little bit down because VFriends and VaynerX is exploding, and I'm like, there's a lot for me to do there. But yeah, I film everything.
Yeah.
I film absolutely everything, and then we go into post-production. And we strip the audio for the podcast, and we have writers who take the words. Everything is me. Even everything has to be me.
How many people taking?
By the way, that's a real big point. Anybody here who has a social media person post on their behalf and write the copy, to this day, every single word on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, every single word in the copy is written actually by me. I know people who immediately hire someone to post on their behalf and write the copy as if it's them. That's that apple cinnamon gummies. So obviously I don't make the videos, but like half the videos in my WhatsApp with my team right now never get posted because I don't like it. Half. I don't like it. I think they missed the context. I think it's out of context. I don't want to talk about that right now because the world is this, that. And then I post it, me. So, you know, I think that people don't want to do the work. But you can have tons of people around you. We figured out document, don't create. That was the big unlock. Just film everything, post-produce. This is a good reason to start shows. If you look, this might really help a lot of you. Go to YouTube tonight when you get back home, put in my name and sort by lowest views. You will be blown away how many little things I do and have done. No audience, because I wanted just the content from doing the podcast for my post-production. So like, at this point in my career, it's awesome because I get to win twice. Back in the day, I would do it because I wanted the content. Now it's like a double win because I know me being on a guest on an up-and-coming show really helps them. So I'm giving love and roses and I'm getting my content. But a lot of you say no to because your humility's not in check. I still say yes to that a lot of you pass on because I out-humble you.
Gary, I have one more.
Walking around here like, oh, I'm only gonna do Joe Rogan. You suck right now. What are you talking about? You should do everything.
One is greater than zero.
One is greater than zero. I watch people walking around thinking there's somebody. There was somebody at VCon trying to get into somebody. They're like, I got 18,000 followers on Instagram. I'm like, what the f? People get high on their own supply real quick. Real quick. People walking around here thinking there's somebody because they got 230,000 followers on TikTok. So? Humble the f up. We'll get better.
All right,
that was some I just hope everybody knows. No, I just really, it's important. I want everybody to know, that's not me razzing, that's me loving you. I see a lot of people saying no as if there's somebody. You want to really win? Decide you're nobody. Everything gets real interesting real fast after that.
Gary, one of the big things that holds people back is self-consciousness, but specifically people that worry about how am I going to look on camera? How am I going to sound on camera? What would you say to somebody who's just trembling with fear to get on camera because of those insecurities?
I say a lot of things. It's the core foundation of my content. The last 7 years of my life have been dedicated on trying to build people's self-esteem. I sound crazy. Not all that great. I mean, I've gotten a little bit better looking, but I'm not winning on that. High school ended. Yeah. Everybody has zits too. People are I'd laugh when it was like, you really suck at this. I'm like, you suck too. As if not everybody sucks at everybody in here sucks at so much it's crazy. Right? And but you want I'll give you a real answer to what I actually think works. This is a wild answer to this, in my opinion, but I've really started to zero in. I'm gonna help you jump over the hurdle of the fear of how I look, how I sound. Deploy compassion to those who on you. I think the reason I'm winning is when somebody says you're an idiot, you're a scam, you're full of you suck, you're ugly, you. My brain immediately goes to man, for somebody to take time out of their day to come to my profile to try to tear me down because they're hurting so much inside, I only have love for them. I'm aware that we're in a societal place right now where the way we respond to people's hate is with hate back to them. But I just don't have that gear. When I get shit on, I deploy love through the form of compassion. If you're able to do that, you won't hear them. But that's why I've been pounding on humility. The reason I work is because I've got this going on. When I get 1,000 comments, 860 of them are a goat emoji. The other 140 are, you're a scam artist. When you can't hear either, you can move. When you only hear the goat stuff, you become vulnerable to the scam stuff. Too many people want that affirmation, and that's why people become unhappy. If your values are based on people giving you accolades, then you become susceptible to the teardown. I'm just attached to both. Can't hear you. I'm on the field. The f am I going to worry about you cheering or booing? I'm on the field. You're eating popcorn. You're making videos. You're putting in work. You're trying to win for yourself. You're worried about Sally Pants 97 in Arkansas who's pissed? Her.
Well, if there's one thing Gary Vee can do, it's give you the kick in the pants to create more content. I hope you enjoyed that content there. And for me personally, listening to that, it just really affirms the idea that we just need to be creating more. I love how he said, it's not long form or short form. It's not YouTube or TikTok. It's and, because we live in a world where attention matters. And one of the key things that I took away was that it needs to just 10x. Your content needs to 10x, and it needs to be relative to the platform that you're putting it on. And I know as a busy entrepreneur, this is probably something that you're thinking, how do I get this done? What do I do? And here at Think Media, we want to help you with that. We want to help you hire the right team. We want to help you learn how to use all the equipment that you're doing. We want to help you figure out great systems and processes so that you could be making content. And I just love so much how Gary just has a fire for making content matter. And I hope that was encouraging to you. And we'll have additional episodes just like this with some more of our key speakers from Grow With Video Live. So make sure you're tuned in here on the podcast, subscribe wherever you subscribe, and hit the like button if you like content like this here on our show. Now, every single week, my favorite part is getting to read the reviews of how this podcast is impacting you personally. And you can leave a review over on Apple Podcasts. And when you do that, you might get featured on one of our shows. Today's feature comes from the Marshall Walker. Marshall Walker says, I've hit a gold mine. Heather and Sean are the most motivational speakers I've ever heard. You can tell they really want their listeners to win and succeed. They practice what they preach and are amazing at what they do. They've helped me so much with my channel, and I don't know what I would do without them cheering me on. Ugh, Marshall, that literally is going to give me life for this next week. Thank you so much for leaving that review and sharing your heart of how this podcast has helped you personally. I really do hope that the content we're giving you here is valuable and is worth your time, because I know that your time is limited, and I want to make sure that you are getting all the value that you can. Now, if you did not already, go to 21videotips.com. That's where you can go if you want to hear more tips like this for free from people like Gary Vaynerchuk, Patrick Bet-David, Vanessa Lau, Pat Flynn, and so many other industry experts when it comes to sharing their secrets of growing your brand online. You can go to 21videotips.com. You can get that free masterclass as well as the free downloadable content that goes along with it. I highly recommend that you go there now, get that, and dive into those 21 additional tips of how to grow this year. Thank you so much for being a part of what we're doing here at Think Media. Leave a comment down below in YouTube. And if you're watching right now, I just put thumbs up, because that's what you should do. Thumbs up the YouTube video. And thank you so much for listening. I will catch you in the next episode. Bye.
We went from 7 pieces of content a week. I did 3 on YouTube, and then I just repurposed the same 3 on a podcast to 80 content pieces a week. And so this is what happened in those 6 months. We added 300,000 subscribers on YouTube, 350,000 on TikTok, 150,000 buyers on Amazon for the book, 350,000 followers on Instagram, 100,000 on Twitter, and 400,000 downloads a month on the podcast. And so here's the how. And so this is the content creation model.
Welcome to the Think Media podcast. My name is Heather Torres, the host of this show, where we want to help you build your influence on YouTube and then turn that influence into a high impact and high profit online business. We want to welcome you if you are brand new to the show, and also welcome back to all of our returning listeners. If you've not yet subscribed wherever you receive this content, I want to encourage you to do that because we deliver a brand new episode every single Tuesday. So hit the subscribe button. I don't know why I'm holding up a like sign, but hit the subscribe button on YouTube or wherever you like to listen to your podcast. Well, today's video is brought to you by a brand new free resource that we want to get in your hands. You can go to 21videotips.com where you can actually get information just like this, like we're doing here on the podcast, but even more. We've got 21 video marketing tips from people like Patrick Bet-David, Vanessa Lau, Pat Flynn, and the person on our podcast today is Alex Hormozi. We've got more tips for you from Alex inside of our 21videotips.com. You can get some of the top marketing secrets right now, and they are sharing their best kept business building secrets inside of this resource for you. We also have a downloadable guide that goes along with this free resource so that you can get massive impact today with these video secrets. So go to 21videotips.com to get that free resource right now. Well, today I am giddy because one of the on the rise influencers or entrepreneurs who is actually teaching what he's done, Alex Hormozi, is on today's podcast. We're going to be doing a 2-part series with Alex for you here on the show. And today we're talking all about how he was able to grow to over 1 million followers in less than 6 months, why he decided to go in on content marketing and what the shift was for him as an entrepreneur, and how he did it and how he built a team around it. Now, if you've not heard of Alex Hormozi yet from acquisition.com, let me just tell you a little bit about who this entrepreneur is. Alex Hormozi is a first-generation Iranian American entrepreneur, investor, philanthropist, and the founder of acquisition.com. That's a portfolio company that does about $100 million a year. He's most known in the online space for his expertise in customer acquisition and monetization through his experience in scaling companies quickly. Alex is one of the fastest growing entrepreneurs on social media right now, and his YouTube channel has over 26 million views, where he helps entrepreneurs learn how to get more customers. He's also the best-selling author of the book $100 Million Offer, and he's the guest on today's show. So grab your pen and paper, lean into today's episode with Alex Hormozi.
So I was telling Sean backstage, I said, my promise to you is that this will be the worst presentation you have ever heard, the best presentation you've ever heard, or somewhere in between. So that is my promise for you guys today. So let's kick some butt. Cool? Let me see, I'm gonna go back one. There we go. Okay, so I'll just kind of share with you some of the things that I've learned over the last 6 months. So how I built a 1 million+ organic following in the last 6 months. Cool? Good news is if you can do it like this, anybody can do it. All right. So just transparency on this, like I built all my companies off paid ads, affiliates, cold outbound teams, or referrals. And that is usually what I'm asked to speak about. I have never built an organic brand. This is my first time. So I just like to get those disclaimers out ahead of time. And so what I have to share may not work for everyone, or in fact be true at all. But it worked for me this time. So that's what I'm gonna share, okay? So just take everything with a gigantic grain of salt that I say, all right? Because a lot of you guys are probably better at this stuff than I am. So that's probably you guys here. There's me on the side, watching you guys be much better than me at video. And so without further ado, 1 million fans, 6 months in 60 minutes or less. So this morning, I don't know if you guys do this, but like morning of, I redo, what's up, Colton? I redo everything again, because I'm like, oh, this is I have to redo it all. And so I broke it into 3 sections to make more sense. So section 1 is, why did I do this to begin with? And why you might think it's a good idea too. 2, what and how much? Like, what do we do to actually create that? And then 3rd is observations, because I had no other better heading for it than that. So that's what it is. Okay, so let's rock and roll. So quick backstory, I'm gonna go through this as fast as possible. This is me when I started my business career, sleeping on the floor. I signed my first lease, slept on that floor for the first 9 months, was able to get it to that picture on the left in a year. Then I opened a new location every 6 months after that. And then over the next 18 months, I met Layla and we did gym turnarounds. So we basically fly from place to place to place and fill gyms up, and but it was a hands-on sales model. I had at our peak 8 sales guys turning around 8 gyms every month. That became tenuous logistically, and we're like, I wonder if there's a better way. And so from there, we packaged our IP for a better gym model into a licensing business. And so we were able to grow Gym Launch, which was a B2B business, to $2.5 million a month, Prestige to 1.7 a month, which was B2B2C. That was an affiliate-based business, and it was weight loss and supplements, so e-commerce. Then we scaled Ellen to 1.6 million a month, which was B2B2C. And we just recently sold that for 46.2, and we just sold that one last year as well, which I'm not allowed to say the number, but there you go. Then we started acquisition.com, which right now does about 13 million a month, which is cool. And I appreciate it. So that sounded weird. So right now we grow $3 million plus internet businesses into $30 million plus sellable businesses. That's kind of what we do now. And so hopefully you're probably asking this question, which is like, what does this have to do with growing video or growing with video? Check. But I started making video content with 3 goals. So number 1 was to attract internet business owners doing $3 million or more who align with our values. Number 2 is to help all businesses below our minimum deal size to just grow to the deal size. That was kind of the idea. Like, how do I just get everybody who's at $1 million to $3 million or 100K to $3 million, whatever, just get everybody up above that level so we can hopefully work with them. And then 3, to create a place where I could document and share the best practices of building world-class companies from my experience. And like, we're not the Elon Musks and the Bezoses and all that, but I wish that those guys had documented what they had done. Like, how cool would it have been to see like the vlog of Amazon in 1996? Right? How sick would that have been? And like every day is like, yep, almost lost the company today. Like 6 months later, almost lost the company again. I thought that would have been awesome. So I thought, I did a really poor job of documenting everything up to this point. And so I was really committed to like, all right, for this next phase, I really want to do a better job of it. So that's the idea. All right, oops. And ironically, when we started doing that, lo and behold, businesses doing $3 million or more started reaching out to us, which was awesome, right? Success. So I guess this might have something to do with video. But believe me when I say that no one is surprised as me about this kind of organic stuff in general, because I've never done it before. So we're on this ride together. All right, so here's the goal for the presentation. Give you a few lessons that I've learned to take you from wherever you are to a little closer to wherever you want to go with this presentation. I'm so good at content. There's the little man. Okay, great. So disclaimer, again, never done this. I also didn't want to be famous or known for a very long time. There's me saying I want to be rich, not famous. But several experiences changed my mind, so I'll walk you through this really quickly. So when Kylie, do you remember this when Kylie was announced that she was a billionaire? Well, that's what I felt like that day. I was like, what am I doing wrong?
Be courageous, be bold, take the move and just do it.
A patient takes the proper preventive measures. We can keep our enamel for a lifetime. If patients use Pronamel Clinical Enamel Strength, it will actually help to protect the enamel for a lifetime. So I would recommend Pronamel Clinical Enamel Strength to all patients.
Use kayak to compare hundreds of travel sites at once? I like to do things myself. No machine is better than me.
Kayak. Search one and done.
New Chipotle
honey chicken. Brings a hint of pure honey and seared smoked peppers with fresh chicken hot off the grill. For Chipotle heat with a touch of sweet and a perfectly balanced sauce. Chipotle honey chicken takes heat and sweet to a whole new level.
What's happening?
Rebellion.
And then The Rock, killing it. And then boom, he's got a $2 billion plus tequila brand that he was able to launch off his organic audience. Conor McGregor, $600 million with Proper 12. It's probably grown since now. Huda, now is a $1 billion brand. And so I can be a little slow sometimes, but I can kind of read the writing on the wall. So there's the writing on the wall. But I didn't want to build an e-commerce brand because all those were e-commerce physical products brands, and I was like, it's not my vibe. I already did that once. It's not my favorite of the businesses that we've done. So I still kind of dragged my feet a little bit. And that's when I heard this guy, Nomad Capitalist, who teaches people to not be U.S. citizens. That's not the point, but so you can not pay taxes. But anyways, that's when I heard a podcast by this guy, and he was like, oh yeah, I get about 3,000 applications a month. I was like, holy cannoli. I was like, well, if I had 3,000 applications a month, I would make at least $1 if that were my life. And so I realized it could work for B2B, not just e-commerce stuff. I was like, that's neat. And then I heard Neil Patel was doing $100 million a year doing B2B agency services, all off inbound. I was like, okay, this might make sense. And so again, I still was like, all right, so it does work for B2B, organic stuff works, but I still didn't really want to be famous. That was not my vibe. And so I met up with dear friends of ours, Lisa and Dean Graciosi, and we had a conversation that was kind of the last straw here. So I was like, dude, being famous sounds terrible. He was just telling us about how somebody showed up his house and threatened his kids, and I was like, that sounds fucking awful. Why? No, thank you. I'm good. I'll just pass on grass. And so he's like, if getting harassed and attacked is the price I have to pay for it's supposed to say impact. That was perfect. For the impact that I want to have, then I'd pay that price every time, which totally takes away from the impact of that message. But I was like, he's right. You know what I mean? He said, if that's the price I have to pay to make the impact I want to have, then I pay that price every time. I was like, all right, I need to stop being all right. So 18 months ago, I started a YouTube channel. Some of you guys may have anybody seen this, the YouTube channel? Nosy Nation. Woo. And so I built 2 expensive studios to launch this thing. I started making 3 videos a week. Side note, important lesson that I learned on a vacation. That really one did better than my really fancy one, which then taught me that what's inside the content matters more than the wrapper. So for anybody who's worried about getting started, about making it look right, I don't think it matters. I mean, I think it matters a little bit, but it's 80-20. So focus on the 80.
Well, I hope you are enjoying today's session. And I wanted to let you know that if you are loving content like this, then you definitely need to go to 21videotips.com, where you can actually get 21 more video marketing tips just like this from industry experts like Patrick Bet-David, Vanessa Lau, Pat Flynn, and Alex Hermosi, and so many amazing video marketers of our day. They're sharing their best kept business building secrets inside of this masterclass and free downloadable guide. So just head over to 21videotips.com to get instant access for free and learn how you can level up your business and brand. That's 21videotips.com. Now let's get back into today's content.
All right, and so I continued my very steady growth for that period of time, which is great. Recommend. But, the first 12 months, we went from 600 to 70,000 subscribers, which was cool. And so things were going smoothly until one day I had a chat with Grant Cardone about branding. And it reminded me that all the lessons that I'd learned in business applied to all this organic stuff. And so I was on this call with him, and I have the full video on my YouTube channel if you want to check it out. Yeah. He was like, bro, I'm not even going to try. He was like, bro, pull up your Instagram. And I was like, okay. He's like, pull up my Instagram. He's like, I got 10 times the content as you. 10 times. He's like, bro, it's volume, bro. Volume. And I was like, that's deep. And so I was like, I should probably do more, which is a lesson that I have learned over and over and over again in business, and I'll tell you a couple more stories about later. But like, so many times we're doing the right stuff, we're just doing way, way too little of it. Like, I'll tell you a quick story which is not on this presentation, but when I started my first gym, I was told that I should put flyers out. And so I went, I'm like really, full of vinegar. I was like, I'm gonna go do it. So the business owner told me was more successful than me, et cetera. And so I went, I put the flyers out, and then like nothing really happened. So I met back up with him a few weeks later, and he was like, hey, how'd the flyers work? And I was like, I got one guy who called me and said I picked up his car. That was it. He's like, well, what was your test size? And I was like, I was like, well, I put 300 out. And he's like, dude, our test size is 5,000. He's like, that's what we test with. He's like, and then we do 5,000 a day. I was like, oh. Noted. And so it was just a really good lesson, and that happens with phone calls. Like, yeah, I'm gonna start doing cold calls. You make 10 calls every 3 days when you're feeling motivated, rather than doing 200 dials every day, like it's clockwork before lunch. You know what I mean? The level of effort difference is not like 2x or 4x. It's like 50x. It's a lot bigger, and most people dramatically underestimate the amount of volume and effort that is required to get to where you want to go. Like dramatically. And so I have so many lessons that this repeated, and I was taught yet again in a different sphere that I'm not familiar with that this was true. I'm also wearing the same shirt.
Pierre, brioche is sacred, so please treat it with respect.
No.
Saint-Pierre, eat avec respect.
Before I understood what nuclear truly meant, before I could use my mind to move a submarine, I had to be born for it.
Rogaine, keep your head in the game.
It's me, your brother. I need your help. The Accountant 2 is undeniably awesome. Really? Yeah, it's better than the original in every way. I guess I hit him harder than I thought. The Accountant 2, rated R.
So I decided to take his advice and dramatically increase the amount of content that we created and how many places we displayed it, right? And so before I tell you, who wants to guess how many pieces of content we started putting out weekly after that call? 25, 10,000, less than that. I would be so much more famous if I put 10,000 out. What was that, 100? Good guess. So we went from 7 pieces of content a week. I did 3 on YouTube, and then I just repurposed the same 3 on a podcast, to 80 content pieces a week. And for scale, if you remember the first line that I showed you way before, the top of that is that purple line from the first graph I showed you. And so pretty cool. And so this is what happened in those 6 months. We added 300,000 subscribers on YouTube, 7,000 followers on Instagram. Still haven't really cracked that one. 350,000 on TikTok, 150,000 buyers, which is cool, on Amazon for the book. 350,000 followers on Instagram, 100,000 on Twitter, and 400,000 downloads a month on the podcast. Cool, right? So basically a million person audience within that 6 months. And because I am more of a business guy than I am a quote influencer creator, this was what I cared about. So the net traffic result for us was web traffic went from basically non-existent to about 100,000 unique clicks a month to the site, just organically. Pretty cool. Number 2 is the subscribers, so I told you before. And then this is one that's really cool. For who here runs paid ads? Can I get a, okay, some of you, cool. So this will resonate with you. So in the businesses that I had, at a $25 CPM, we were getting $2 million a month in exposure for free. Not only not free, we're getting paid to do it. Crazy. Like I'm beside myself still because I think it's insane. So the fact that this opportunity exists right now is literal insanity to me. Like we're getting paid now to market. Like, what a world, right? And so the business result from that is that we get about 400 companies a month that apply for acquisition.com, so we can help them scale. And in that time period, we grew from 7 million a month to 13 million a month. And disclaimer on that is that part of that was just the companies themselves grew. It wasn't like new companies. But still a lot in 6 months. And so if you're anything like me, you're probably thinking, well, that's really great for you, Alex, but what about me? Which is why I made section 2. Which is how and how much, all right? So here's where you come in. All right, so let's start with how much. So just a reminder here in terms of time, I'm not like a creator full time. So it's like 93.7 is probably the amount of time that I allocate towards this. And so money-wise, this costs me $20,000 a month to do. All right, you can scale this down however you want. I also don't have a tremendous amount of time that I allocate towards it, so I have to compensate with that with money. You could probably do this on your own. This is how I do it. So we have a Twitter editor, a YouTube editor, a LinkedIn editor, a podcast editor, and an IG and TikTok editor, all right? And there's 2 of us, so times 2. So it's actually $40,000 a month for the both of us, okay? The amount of time that it takes me is 2 days per month and 4 hours per week. And that is what I dedicate towards this. And so, quick recap, I have a daily mind dump, which I'll show you how I do it in a second, because I'm going to show you the whole model. I do a weekly Twitter review. It takes me like 4 hours, because Twitter is actually really important to how I do all this stuff, which I'll explain later. And if you guys aren't on Twitter, it's my favorite platform. But we do 1 day a month of recording, and then for shorts, and then 1 day a month. It's usually like a half day. I'll do like 4 to 8 YouTube videos, the ones that are direct to camera. And that's it. That's the jam. So that's the how much. That's my investment. That's my cost to do this. And so here's the how. And so this is the content creation model. All right. That's the big visual, and those are the bold bullets. Fantastic. Let's start with the first one. So test, record, inject, contextualize, distribute. So the old way that I used to do content was I would just have this ongoing email thread to myself. I don't know you guys have like notes or like a chain to yourself? Because you probably get ideas, you're in a conversation, oh, I should make a piece of content on that, right? And then you email it to yourself. That's how I did it for a long time. And the new way is the Twitter way, which is being blocked by the thing because it formatted weird. But I post all of those ideas as tweets on Twitter rather than just sending them to myself. And so all of a sudden what used to be my inbox is actually just my like tweet thread. All right. And so I tweet about 5 times a day-ish. And the nice thing is that Twitter is a very forgiving platform. So it's just like stream of consciousness, and it takes notes. You don't have to pick videos or captions, or I like it because it's just thoughts. I love Twitter so much for that reason. And so I'll post this stuff, and I'll be like, okay, those are the ones that people thought were interesting. And then the threads become long format, and the shorts become short format, or the tweets become short format. Pretty simple. Step 1. Everyone following with me so long? Yeah! Oh, man. Anyone feel like you could do that? All right, doable. Yes. Second step is recording, right? Why am I doing both? I realized this because you're like, why do you do short stuff? I was kind of against shorts, and then I realized that I've never actually consumed anything from Gary Vee that's long. But I like Gary Vee a lot. And I was like, well, I guess that worked. So that's why I do both. Right? And so I think it's a width and depth thing. I think the shorts give you a lot of breadth. I think the longs give you a lot of depth, right? And so there's a visual that I put together that took me too long to say that same thing. Great. So this is everything that I know about how to make content that, quote, goes viral. I watched a long interview with Mr. Beast. My big practice of trying to learn stuff is go to the person who's the best at it and listen to them because they've already reorganized the information for you. Hack. And so he's like, listen, all these guys make this all compliment with their tags and the hashtags. And if any of you guys saw that, this is not me offending you. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Remember, big grain of salt. But he said, it's just CTR times watch time. That's it. You got to get people to click, and you got to get people to watch. I was like, okay, that makes sense. He's like, and that's what YouTube wants. They want people to be interested in the content to get the click, and then make sure that the content fulfills the promise of the thumbnail. Cool. I was like, I can do that. And so this is the general format that I've used for the longs, which is like a hook or a question that I'm answering, usually a story that's relevant to answer the question, a framework that I've applied to repeat that process, and then an explanation of why I think it works. That's it. And if I want to make longer stuff, it's just that process with multiple stories, repeating that over and over again. The shorts is a hook or a question, a hammer, which for me is my tweet. I put the tweet as the next thing I say because I already know it converts. And then I have an example and an explanation. That's about it. That's Alex's $1 million thing. There we go. Fantastic. And so this is an example. So it's like 28 ways to guarantee poverty, or 28 ways to stay poor, right? So I made this thread, got a lot of shares, cool. 28 rules, reprogram your mind to be rich in 22 minutes. So I have to change the headline and stuff, but the content was identical. I just did it in a video, right? And then the short ones that do well, it's like, all right, overheard from a Navy SEAL, blah, blah, blah. Authenticity is just a fancy word. Boom, I just make a short version of the same thing, just saying the tweet. Does this make sense? Yeah. Okay, cool. And then I upload it. Fancy so far? All right, ta-da. Next one is inject. So we grew the podcast actually recently from like 20,000 a month to 400,000 a month. And a big part of that was just having call to actions. Sounds really dumb, but I wasn't doing it. So do it. And so the way that we did it was we recorded 2 versions of each of the call to actions. So like call to actions to other channels, lead medics, share or tag. If you have a lower ticket product, I don't, but like, or if, for me, I guess I have a book, it's 99 cents. Leave a review if you want to ask for clients, or, send a question, or there's my book there, Grant Slam offer. So I would just record 2 different CTAs for that. And then I just inject them into the content. So this is what it might look like. So it's like you have your CTA 1, content, mid-roll, content, end off. Does that make sense? So we started doing that with the podcast, and it started to grow a lot. And now we're actually doing it in the rest of the forms of content. So you'll see that from me because this has been working. So this is me doing this, walking the talk. All right, the point directions, etc. Okay, contextualize. So anyone seen this one before? Everyone see this like meme that went viral? So it's like everybody kind of appears somewhat differently, even though it's the same person, depending on the setting that you're in, right? On Facebook, you look a certain way. LinkedIn, you look a certain way. Tinder, you look a certain way. I had a sales guy who was on, this is not relevant at all, was on Tinder, and he would close every one of his dates on buying our supplements. So that he could get, he was like, it always covered dinner. Savage. Anyways. Just, shooters got to shoot. Okay, so you have to make this stuff contextual. And so this is what we do. So this is the same video, right? It's that same Navy SEAL video I made earlier, right? So that's a reel, that's a TikTok, and then that's the YouTube short. So it's the same thing, you just make it match the platform. Same way you would make your Facebook look different than your Instagram look different than your LinkedIn, etc. As long as you just make it contextual, I think it does a lot better. Because have you guys seen people just like take literally the exact same thing and post it on the wrong platform? I just think it just hurts it. And it's just not that much effort to make it contextual. All right, last one, distribute. Then we distribute them. All right, so we went from 7 times a week to 80 times a week in distribution. That was the result over that 6-month period, which was a lot of growth. Awesome. And so we 10x the inputs and we got 10x the outputs. Surprising, right? So who here would like 10 times the output? Well, then you can just 10x the input. All right. Good talk. So, quick recap. All right, content creation model, test. First thing you do, make your brain dump into something that's actually generating content. So this is net 0 time for me. I was doing it, and I just started doing it publicly. Number 2 is that once I have the stuff that's winning, I record it. I record the threads as longs, I record the tweets as shorts. From there, the team injects the call to action so that I can direct the traffic whatever way I want to direct it, right? 4, and big one on this last injection thing, like if you don't do this, because I wasn't, you get all of these impressions and like eyeballs and stuff, and you'll get followers, but like you don't drive a result, which again sounds silly that I wasn't doing this, but I told you at the beginning, you guys are better than I am at this. Number 4 was contextualize it. I just think it works a lot better. And then finally, you cut it and increase the volume.
Well, that is part 1 of our 2-part series here on the show with Alex Hormozi. We're going to be diving deeper into his observations, that 3rd step that he talked about in today's episode, and that will be coming out very soon. So make sure you are locked in here on the show so that you can get access to that 2nd part and all the things that Alex learned from figuring out how to go all in with his content creation. Now, every single week, we love to bring one of our Think fam members here on the show and say thank you for rating and review this podcast. When you do that over on Apple Podcasts, it helps other entrepreneurs and content creators just like you see that this show is for them. So I want to thank today's reviewer, which is iFunChris Channel. Chris says, the Think Media podcast review. I learn a lot on YouTube and you're helping me out. Thanks for the help to the YouTube creators. Well, thank you so much, Chris, for being one of our listeners and for taking the time to rate and review the show. It means the world to us. Now, if you've not left a comment down below on YouTube, I'm going to encourage you to share your aha moment from this episode. I'd love to be able to go through, read your comments, and see the value that you're getting from what we're doing here on the podcast. So leave your aha moment down below. I'd love to read it. And thank you so much for being a part of what we're doing. Part 2 of this series will be coming out shortly, so make sure you're locked in, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye.
The excitement at Wartburg College. Visit and learn more at experience.wartburg.edu/discover.
Wherever you book, first check Kayak to compare car rental sites and prices to find a great deal on exactly what you're looking for.
Unspoken question in every person's mind that has to first be answered, which is, why should I listen to you? Imagine you're talking to a guy, you don't know anything, and he's just like talking about business, and you're like, oh, that's cool. And then like 2 seconds later, it's like, dude, that guy's a billionaire. All of a sudden, you're like, right? The frame matters. So here's how it looks in the real world, all right? Hey, here's what I did versus here's what you should do. Feel the difference? As soon as you point out, people hate you. Because it sounds like you're preaching. It sounds like you have an ego, and I just don't think people like that. And so I think it's really speaking on your truths rather than claiming to know the truth.
Welcome to the Think Media podcast. My name is Heather Torres, the host of this show, where we're helping you build your influence on YouTube and then turn that influence into a high impact and a high profit online business. Welcome back. If this is your returning time to Think Media, that song Welcome Back just came in my head. Welcome back, welcome back. Okay, anyways, if you're brand new with us, we want to say welcome to this show. Hopefully someone shared this with you, or you found us somewhere on YouTube or on the Apple Podcast channels, and we want to say welcome. Every single Tuesday, we deliver a brand new episode to you. So make sure you're locked in, subscribed, wherever you consume this content so you can get the latest episodes that come out, just like this one. Now, we're heading into part 2 of our series with Alex Hormozi. He was one of our special guests at our annual conference, Grow with Video Live, and we're diving into the second part of his content. And let me tell you, the first part, if you didn't listen, was amazing. Make sure you go back and listen to the previous episode so you can get all the context as to why he started doing YouTube, how he made the mindset shift, and how he's been able to grow his influence to over 1 million followers in less than 6 months. It was a no-miss episode, so mark that down for your next one. Now, today, we're going to be going into more of what he learned from this experiment of going all in as a content creator and not just an entrepreneur. He's going to be breaking down some of the mindset shifts that he had to go through and a lot of mistakes that content creators make when they're getting started. I also love that he's talking about how you don't have to be an expert to get started, but giving you the tools to actually press record. So we're going to dive into today's episode with Alex Hormozi. Now, if you don't know who this entrepreneur is, you are in for a treat. I've been so impacted by the work that Alex and his wife, Layla Hormozi, are doing on the platform of YouTube, but just in general with helping entrepreneurs learn how to actually get their message out there and how to build businesses the right way. Now, Alex Hormozi is a first-generation Iranian-American entrepreneur, investor, philanthropist, and the founder of Acquisition.com, a portfolio company that does about $100 million a year. He's most known in the online space for his expertise in customer acquisition and monetization, getting customers and making money from it, through his experience in scaling companies quickly. Alex is one of the fastest growing entrepreneurs on social media right now, with his YouTube channel of over 26 million views, where he's helping entrepreneurs learn how to get more customers. He's also the best-selling authors of one of my favorite books, $100 Million Offer. And if you don't have it, definitely pick that one up. But let's jump into part 2 of our series with Alex Hormozi.
So that concludes section 2. How much and how? Fantastic. Observations. I was going to call it musings, but then I thought no one would know what that meant. So I just gave you the traditional lip service on a content generation model. It's kind of boring, and I don't think it's that interesting, which is why I tried to get through it quickly, because a lot of people will ascribe that as the reason that we grew a lot, and I don't think that's why. But I'm presenting it because I would end up getting a zillion questions about it, and so that's why it's there. I think the real reason that we were able to grow, so I'm gonna put my real hat on for a minute, is that, and again, this is my 2 cents, there you go, is that there's an unspoken question in every person's mind that has to first be answered, which is, why should I listen to you? And I think it's one of the most profound questions. And I think it influences how people share, how people take your content, everything. It's the frame that the content is consumed in. So I'll give you a real world example. Imagine you're talking to a guy, you don't know anything, and he's just talking about business, and you're like, oh, that's cool. And then 2 seconds later, it's like, dude, that guy's a billionaire. All of a sudden, you're like, right? The frame matters a lot. Elon Musk makes a tweet that's like, I'm on the toilet, and it gets 500 million shares, right? This guy's hilarious, right? It's because it's Elon, right? And he has a brand that he's established, and there's context there. And so I think that we should have this question answered for ourselves and our prospects before creating content, all right? And so imagine for a moment that I had done this whole presentation up to this point, and I had a 1,000 person total audience between all of those platforms. Same presentation. How different would that feel? Right? Just imagine, dude on stage, you don't know me, and I have 1,000 people on Instagram and that's it. Same presentation. You would receive it differently, right? Right, I would, because I would think it was stupid, pointless, preachy, better than thou, full of and if you're so good, why don't you do it? That's what I would think, right? And so we have to answer the question, why should I listen to you? And I think a lot of you are making content from a weak frame, and that's just what I see. That's just me witnessing it. It's like the 18-year-old relationship coaches. You know what I mean? They're real. You know, they're out there. Some of you are here. You can, real, right? Or it's like the business coaches that are doing $5,000 a month. I don't have a lot of So besides all the stuff that we shared earlier, the real reason that I think our audience is growing is that we're talking about stuff that we have evidence to support. That's the real, right? So all the I said earlier, sure, you can do that. That worked for me. You might not like Twitter. I like Twitter because it's easy for me. If it's not easy for you, don't do it, right? Which is why this worked for me this time, right? That's the context. But I think this stuff is the more kind of eternal stuff. And that's why I was kind of excited to get to part 3. Yes. And so I think it's about having the evidence for your others and most importantly for yourself, right? We built these other companies first before ever talking about how to build companies, right? And so if you're like, great, Alex, nice for you. So how do I make content if I'm just starting out? Excellent question. So there's 2 frame shifts that I think have to occur. Do, then talk, how I versus how to, and give versus get. All right, so let's start with the first one. So who here hates this, right? How to live an amazingly happy life and get everything that you want from somebody who is doing this part-time and is still cutting hair, right? There's nothing wrong with cutting hair, but it probably wouldn't make you an authority on this matter. Does that make sense? Some of you are doing this and wondering why it's not working. You're like, oh man, my stuff's so much better. It honestly doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because if I had 1,000 people on stage, like on my followers, and I made the same presentation, you wouldn't give it. Like I'm trying, like real, right? And so there's a better way, I think. All right. So this is Alex's crazy content creation model, trademark pending. All right. Step 1, do. Step 2, talk about what you just did. I know. And then do bigger. This is a complex model, I know. We're getting to it. So here's how it looks in the real world, all right? Hey, here's what I did. Versus, here's what you should do. Feel the difference? This is what I did. If it works for you, awesome. If it doesn't work for you, no sweat. Here's 20 of my clients. This is the stuff that I'm doing with them right now. Rosie was struggling with some skin condition. We started giving her magic pills, and look at her skin now. It's amazing, right? But like, this is what, it might not work for you, but this will work for her, and this will work for him, and this will work for my clients, right? Not what you should do. As soon as you point out, people hate you. Because it sounds like you're preaching. It sounds like you have an ego, and I just don't think people like that. And so I think it's also switching from I'll switch the other way. Switching from how to how I. So how to build a massive social media following to how I built the following that I have. Feel a difference? It's really small, but really big in terms of how people interpret your message. Because it's like, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I think that what happens is when you say it that way, you're like, you're pulling back and saying like, hey, like, I hope this serves you in some way. Like, this is like me opening the kimono. This is stuff that's working right now for me. Whereas the other way, you're at the pulpit commanding, giving demands and commanding people. And I just don't think people like that. I mean, how many people, their entire Instagram feed is people shaking their finger at you, right? It sucks. I hate it, right? And so I think it's really speaking on your truths rather than claiming to know the truth. And I think there's a point I probably make later, but I'll bring it up now, is that everyone is unquestionably an expert on your own life. No one can question that. If I say I had oatmeal for breakfast this morning, I am untouchable. I mean, oatmeal's kind of lame, but from a factual standpoint, like no one can challenge me on that. Like this is what I eat every day. No one's gonna be like, you Alex, like, harming the planet. Right? They're not going to say that because like that's real, that's true, no one can touch that, right? But as soon as I say you should have oatmeal for breakfast, right? It's this big of a difference, but it makes all the impact in the world in terms of how people receive the message. So question, who here makes the content because they want to become famous and feel good about themselves? Ooh. Or who here is making stuff because they want it to be received and help the audience? Right? And so the thing is you have to feed them and not you. And I think if you can make that shift, I think, in my opinion, it will be more effective. And so if you look at the biggest influencers in the business space, because this is the space that I'm kind of in, you look at these guys, I mean, shoot, half these guys are talking here. So congrats to the event, it's awesome. I'm very honored to be on stage with them. So that's the ACCCM at work, the Alex Crazy Content Creation Method at work, by the way. Dude, talk about that you did. Which one of these guys made money from their social media following? All of them. Made the money they have from the social media following. Right. And so how many of these people needed the followers? None. Right? People are like, I want to be the next this. It's like, if you want to be the next that, then you got to walk that walk. Right? And so you probably won't be respected as an authority on business until you've achieved mega success. The same reason you look at your competitors like, that guy sucks. It's like they're looking at you, right? And it's because, why should I listen to you? And so here's the good news, because you're like, well, Alex, what do I talk about? Here's the good news. You can become a niche-specific authority. So rather than going like, here's how to live an amazing life, right? That's like, you've got to be Jesus. Jesus can do that. You can't do that. Jesus can do that, right? So you got to go from here to like, I'm really good at helping people build ATM businesses. I'm really good at helping people flip houses in Phoenix, right? Because in that little ocean, that little pond, you can be king. Because you got to compete against 20 guys, and you got to walk the talk, right? You got to do what you're doing, and you talk about what you're doing. That's it, but you can win in that little pond. And I'll show you how to scale from there in a second, but you can do that, all right? And so this is me when I started. So I had a couple powerlifting records, and I liked working out, right? And so, thank you. And so the stuff that I did then was about what I was doing then. And so you can't read it, but it says how to get rid of stubborn fat on your arms and stomach. That's the content I was making then. And who is it relevant for? Just the members at my gym. But that was my way of adding value, and I already had rapport with them. So they're like, if I'm gonna learn about this identical topic from 100 different people, I'd just rather learn about it from you because I like you. And I had values-based rapport, not expertise. Like I had general expertise because I looked the way I looked, but beyond that, I didn't have a PhD. It's not like I did a ton of research. I read the same articles and just tried to make it entertaining. That was it. And I didn't become mega famous for that. But this made me money. This made me enough money to, grow the company that I had at the time. And so from there, I leveraged that to grow my first gym and then the gyms after that, right? And then from there, once the gyms grew, I started making content about how to grow gyms. Why? Because I knew how to grow gyms. I wasn't like how to scale your SaaS company. You know what I mean? Like how to reach $1 billion valuation. Like I was like, I don't know, but this is what worked for my gyms. And people are like, dude, this stuff works. I'm like, I know, because I'm doing it. This is how I do it. Like I know it works. This is how I do it. Of course it works. I'm doing it. Here's what's crazy. So many people are talking about and teaching stuff that A, they have never done, and B, they are repurposing someone else's content and making a version of it. Some of them are you. And that's the thing is like when you start talking the theoretical and trying to teach something, it's how to rather than how I, right? So if you do the thing, then you just talk about what you just did. Now, later on, I think it's the capture don't create, documents don't create concept, but I understand that takes resources. Like it takes money to get people around you to, document your life and all that kind of stuff. Like that's expensive. But I think just even doing recaps of like, this is the stuff that's working right now for us in this context. People are like, thanks. You didn't have to do that. Thanks for sharing that stuff that's working for you. Rather than how to. And no, if you do it that way, you will not gain a mega following at first. But you will accomplish it, which will set you on the path for you to be broader later. So the Gym Secrets podcast became the game. Then I published from the Gym Launch Secrets book, which is how to build a profitable gym, to the $100 million offers book. And the difference in scale was pretty tremendous. That's my Gym Launch Secrets book, but I still think it's a phenomenal book, by the way. To that book. And that book's done that in less than a year, and that other book's been out like 4 years. And so it's not bad, it's just sequence. People try and go out of sequence. They try and say like, why am I not Tom Bilyeu? I'm doing everything Tom Bilyeu's doing, except for building Quest. Oops. Like, that's why what he says is relevant. Right? Like, you know what I mean? Because the thing is like, we want everybody here, most people seek truth. Would you say if you were like, raise your hand if you seek truth? Okay, so the easiest shortcut for the brain to seek truth is to look at someone who's the most extreme version and then think, okay, I don't have to apply a lot of decision-making filtering here because now I can just absorb this because I can just take this as fact. Because if Warren Buffett says this is how I should invest, I feel okay about that source. Even if he's like, save your money, spend less than you earn, dollar cost average into the S&P, and don't buy gold, right? Like, he says that stuff, and you're like, okay. Now, the stay-at-home teacher who's been saving all of her money could say the exact same thing, but she just forgot to build Berkshire Hathaway. And so the thing is that, and I'm actually very against the whole confidence mantra of like people being like, you gotta believe in yourself, you gotta, you have to do things so that you have evidence that you can support why you are good. You guys are great. and this is like my favorite line from The Matrix. It's, I think, in the second or third, I can't remember which one it is, but Morpheus is up there and he's like, I feel truthfully unafraid, not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. And I think it gives a lot of spiritual strength that, because I got asked on an interview, they're like, how are you so certain? I was like, you talk about these things like with so much certainty. I was like, well, that's just how I've done it. Like, and it's that depth of experience and knowledge that like no one can question that we built those things. That's truth. Those are the real numbers. And so as long as you're not fudging your numbers, right? And you just say like, this is what it is, then of course you're certain, right? Because I think confidence is self-delusion. It's trying to make up for what you don't have evidence for. And I think it's a much easier practice to stop pretending and start doing the stuff that you should be certain about. And then you don't have to have bravado. You can get up, like, you can walk on stage and people are like, that guy built the biggest king and water empire out there. Nobody Colin's in the front. And he built that. He doesn't have to have confidence for people to listen to him. They will want to listen to everything that he says if that is what they want to do. Because they'll just go to the person that's done the thing that they want to do so that they don't have to apply a lot of effort in thinking, and they can just say, I'll do everything this person says, right? Most people cannot separate information from source. So what we do is we just seek out good sources. I think wisdom is built through being able to take from separating information from source. A fool can give you a very wise piece of wisdom or information or a lesson, but it's much harder to do that. And so the shorthand for most of us is just go to somebody who's an absolute authority in this thing that has unquestionably a reason that I should listen to them, and then just listen to them. The downfall of that is that you start taking stock advice from your hairdresser. I'm not bashing hairdressers right now. That's just top of mind, right? And so you're like, I trust you. What else you got? And then they start talking about things that are not their expertise, and then that's when you get in trouble. And so to the same degree, if you probably have an audience that start asking you questions, right? Anybody have an audience that asks them questions? Raise your hand. Okay. If someone asks you a question that is not something that you have authority on, I think you gain more authority by saying, I don't have authority to speak on that. And then you gain more respect because this is what happens. Damaging admissions are the single greatest thing that build trust. If I say, I suck at marriage advice, I suck at, giving happiness advice, I suck at whatever, but I'm really good at making high returns in the stock market, how much more believable is that than I make really good returns in the stock market, and I'm really good at marriage, and I'm and. When you admit your deficits, whatever comes after the admission of guilt or the admission of deficiency is believed more. So if I say, hey, I really suck at a lot of things, but you're going to believe whatever I say right here, that's a sentence structure for persuasion. And you can use that in all of the content that you have forever. It's also great for negotiating. And so, anyways, I say all this to say, it's the path that lies behind you, not the path that lies in front of you, that will give you the certainty that you want to gain the influence you desire. And so my evolution for me was fitness first, and I just talked about this is what's worked for me. People are like, Alex, how do you eat Twizzlers and cookies all day and have a six-pack? And I'm like, A, genetics, B, I live at a gym, and C, I eat this way. Right? And people were like, oh, so I can have cookies too and have a six-pack. And I was like, yes. And that was relevant for me. Some people are like super vegan superstars. Awesome. And they're going to talk about what's relevant for them. And the people who follow will be like, I vibe with that. Cool. Right? And so I'm not going to be the best nutrition expert in the world, but in terms of like my little fiefdom, I can rule that. Right? And then I moved up because I started doing well there. And people started asking me, hey, how are you growing your gym? I was like, well, this is how I grew my gym. They were like, well, what about business in general? I'm like, I don't know. I've never run an e-commerce business. I don't know about manufacturing. I don't know about software. I don't know about any of that stuff. But I know how to grow a gym. So I only talked about that. And the amount of people that was relevant for, this many. But for that audience, everything. Right? I mean, and just for context here, there are riches and niches. Like, that company made a lot of money. Just saying, like it made a lot of money and it didn't make me famous at all. And so again, the question is, do you want to be rich? Do you want to be famous? Are you trying to serve you? Are you trying to serve the audience, right? And then the last one is like, now we've been able to leverage that initial success to build an e-commerce brand, to build a software brand, to sell those, and then now we have a portfolio. And so now, because we have businesses that span a lot of different areas, I can say, these are the frameworks that we use to build all of them. I hope this serves you. And then people can take that. And has anybody used any of the frameworks that we've, for Mosey Nation, anybody who's been there, have anybody used those frameworks to make more money? One person. Whew, probably not. So a big part of that is that you just get better over time. And so I said this quote and it got shared a lot. It's like, you're not making as much money as you want because you're not as good as you think you are. I'm just being real. Like, I don't know, I could have done like here's my 17,000 content model, you know what I mean? But like, the real is that you're probably not that good yet, comma, and that's okay. Like, the only person beating you up is you, right? And so the only way to get better is volume. And the only way to get even better than volume is volume times time. Because volume, you can write this down, I don't have this in the presentation, but this is like the equation of life. Volume, or at least business. Volume times time equals skill. You got to do it a lot of times for a long period of time, and you will get better. That is a promise. You will, if you suck today, you will suck less tomorrow. And eventually, one day you will look up and suck so little that you will actually be good. And then people will ask you, how did you become an overnight success? And then instead of saying, here's how you cold call, you say, here's how I did it. I hope this serves you, right? And you can build that trust that way. Great, Alex. So how do I make money if I'm just starting out? Fantastic. All right, Colton. Geez, always about the money. Okay. I'm kidding. Colton's awesome. So here's a couple observations here. Give away the secrets, sell the implementation. All right? If you want to build an enterprise that is valuable, this is how you do it. You can sell info. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to build a brand, give away the secrets, sell the implementation. All right? Because people are like, you can give the whole farm away. People still won't do it. 1% of people will do it. My business model relies on the 1% who do it. You know what I mean? So like, I bank on that. But only 1% are going to do it. So most people need help. Most people need encouragement. Most people need accountability. Going live, I always think to myself like, oh God, I'm sharing everything. What will they do? They won't need me anymore because I give them this information. They'll just keep living their lives and I will become obscure and nothing and I will die, right? That is what it feels like. I mean, you catastrophize. But that's real, right? It's the opposite though, right? And there's so many things I feel like that I've at least realized for me is a lot of things are the opposite of what you expect. It's like you only gain your life by giving it, right? Like you only get trust from others by trusting first. You only get value back by giving value first. And so if you're afraid of giving away all the secrets that you have, I promise you, if you make content that does not contain the secrets, 99% of people who are the people who are never going to pay you anyways, 99% of people will just think you suck. Because you give nothing. So you just make fluff. Because you're so afraid of giving good stuff away. The thing that most people consume is they consume one video, and they make a judgment and say, I will never consume a video from this person again. What a waste of time. And so like my big fear with every piece of content is I would rather make fewer pieces of content because I'm so afraid of somebody taking 20 minutes to consume something after watching a bunch of my stuff, watching that one, and not actively deciding to stop watching, but just don't get enough for the time that they're like, I'll just watch something else. They don't say like, they just pivot a little bit. and slowly you fade away. And so I would rather have quality over quantity, but quantity beats just quality, right? But I would personally, this is me, I would personally prefer to have better stuff and give away as many secrets as I possibly can to get people to start taking steps towards you. Because what also happens is if someone goes and uses stuff from the YouTube channel and grows from $1 million a year to $3 million a year or $5 million a year, they don't have questions on whether or not we can provide value because we already have, right? And then it makes the sales process dramatically easier because you say, what brought you here today? And they're like, well, you made me $2 million a year. I love you. And you're like, awesome. Want to get to 10? And they're like, sure. Like, how do I know it's going to work? Because it already has, right? And you can take that as a totally different frame for the sale, okay? And so make your free materials better than everyone else's paid materials. I heard this from Tony Robbins, and I think it's really true. But I think the real is that most of your stuff is not better than their paid stuff. And so that's why it doesn't work. And so talk about what you really know, which is your specialty, which is your individual thing that you have experienced that no one can challenge. Your truth, all right? And so finally, you want to play games where if you wait, you win. Because goodwill compounds faster than money. Because the longer you can delay the ask, the bigger the ask can be. The longer the runway, the bigger the plane that can take off of it. And so I promise you, and this is, again, gigantic Himalayan grain of salt, with the limited experience that I have, doing organic, because I've only done direct to jugular, paid ads, cold calling, affiliate stuff, straight pitching. I've only done that. But I can say that this brand is very special to me because I enjoy what we're building, and I'm in no rush to do it. And you have time. And so the longer you can wait and keep walking with people, the longer the compounding works in your favor. Like, it's no coincidence that the biggest people in the business space don't need anything from their audiences, right? Because I think that compounding process gets interrupted when you do a hard pitch. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's my opinion. And so the idea is, how can we sell without selling, right? And I think in that way, the compounding will happen faster than the revenue would have otherwise increased if you started trying to make the money fast. And so the longer you can delay that, the better it's going to be. And then you can understand why all these guys play the infinite game of never even wanting to do that right hook. Because it's like, but next year I'm going to have 5 times the audience. And then a year later, they're like, but next year I'm going to have 5 times the audience, right? Because as soon as you shoot your shot, you dramatically decrease the goodwill. And so I think that I've at least adapted, and this is maybe just a different way of saying it. I know Gary's got jab, 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 right hook. Just a personal observation that I've had is that you can go give, 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 get. You don't even have to ask. People just start handing things to you. Because if you deposit enough goodwill in there, it just starts coming back. And I know that sounds crazy, but like the amount of people that DM me are like, hey man, can I give you 10 grand for 10 minutes? And I'm like, no, I don't do that. It's like, how about 20 grand? Like, no, I don't do that. Right? The amount of times people inbound and they're like, hey, can I have you on my podcast? Can I have you on my stage? All these things start happening because you're not asking for anything. And it makes people feel uncomfortable. It makes people feel really uncomfortable. They're like, how can I buy something from you? And you're like, you can't. They're like, And I'm like, get to 3 million, then we can partner, right? But that's it. You know what I mean? There's nothing else. And so I think that if we can make that pivot and have that patience, but like, if we're thinking really big picture, the reason most people aren't successful is they just can't control themselves. Like, that's it. It's impulse control. And so there's 3 things. They did this research study that said that ultra successful people have 3 common traits. Number 1 is they have a superiority complex. They think they're better than everybody. They think they can do bigger things. Second is that they have crippling insecurity of not being enough. I like that one, hits me. And then the third one is impulse control. So they know where they want to go. They have a way drive to not be a failure, and they stay focused on it because of impulse control. And so the idea here is, if we can do that, we will be more successful. And the reason that most people don't make money is because they can't wait 12 months. Like I have this 18-year-old who was my neighbor, and I said, I'm gonna have you sign a contract that says, I wanna be a millionaire. I was like, you gotta wait 5 years. And you can't make any money between now and then. Would you do it? He was like, yeah, I would do it. Every single person can do that. I guarantee you if you delayed for 5 years and you used to provide a value to people for 5 years, you'd have a bigger audience than you knew what to do with, and you'd be a millionaire in 5 years. It'd probably happen a lot faster than that. But if you committed to doing it for 5 years, you would. But guess what? No one's gonna do it. And that's why most people aren't successful. And so like we come to these events and you have the models and all the stuff, right? But people still eat cookies when they're trying to lose weight. And so it's a concept of local versus global, which is there's a local benefit to eating cookies. You feel better, whatever. The global benefit goes down though, because you don't get the six-pack you want. If that's the goal and you're counting macros, you get the idea, right? And so most people cannot sacrifice local benefit for global. The sales guys don't want to put the notes in the CRM, even though that benefits the entire organization, because it's a local cost, right? And so, as a side note for operations for a business, operations are supposed to bring global benefit in excess of the local cost. And so, when we're trying to achieve the things that you're trying to do, right, the local benefit is just make the ask fast. The global benefit is the longer you can wait, the bigger it can be. And so for me, I'm like, why not wait as long as humanly possible? So I'll wrap this up. Speak from strength. Share your experiences to add to the body of knowledge. The problem with a lot of the social media stuff and books that are out there now is that the barrier to entry in terms of what it takes to publish content is so low, it's almost not visible, right? So low. And so everybody can produce content. Back in the day, the only way you produce content was like after 30 years of being a researcher, you're like, this is my entire life's work in one book so I can add to the body of knowledge. People are like, wow, thank you for that. And that's how content was made, right? And if you wanted to do a direct, a marketing piece, you had to edit it and put it on a piece of paper and look at it every single way and know that you're gonna pay 50 cents for every single person who's gonna receive it, and you better be damn sure it's beautiful, right? The stuff that's not a waste of time that you actually know. So you can add to the body of knowledge.